Donald Trump has effectively ended the H1B visa program. Now, it still exists because he can't just get rid of it, but he's going to be charging $100,000 per visa, which, as you know, basically nukes almost all of them. No company is going to spend $100,000 to bring in some dude from India to work for a $40,000 a year job. So there is some nuance to this. We will talk about it. Other news, ongoing ICE protests. A far-left congressional candidate got tossed to the ground. Everyone's talking about it. We'll go over that. Pepper spray, tear gas, all that stuff being deployed. And then we've got Stephen Colbert's response to Jimmy Kimmel being taken off the air. And surprise, surprise, he's doubling down, saying Jimmy Kimmel didn't say anything wrong, showing the clip, and basically, without overtly saying it, implying that the assassin of Charlie Kirk was MAGA. Because everyone's crazy. We'll talk about that. And AOC is going to run for president in 2028. So I hope y'all are ready. Before we get started, we got a great sponsor. It is Beam Dream. Go to shopbeam.com and pick up your Beam Dream. I've been drinking the brownie batter flavor. For those that don't know, this is a delicious cup of hot cocoa you drink every night. I've been drinking it every night. It's got amazing stuff. It's got L-theanine. It's got magnesium. It's got melatonin. And boy, let me tell you, I sleep better than ever. It's pretty crazy. I mean, and you guys know I just had a baby too, right? Yeah, nope, sleep is still really great. I drank some of this stuff and I wake up feeling like $1,000,000. Even when I got to get up sometimes in the middle of the night, sometimes you got to do that. I can't believe how much this stuff has actually improved my sleep. My sleep score has improved dramatically. Guys, go to shopbeam.com/TimPool and you will get 35% off for a limited time. This stuff's only got 15 calories. You don't wake up groggy. I wake up and I'm just like straight out of bed. I feel like I am 19 years old again. Shout out to Beam for sponsoring the show. And don't forget, my friends, to also check out Timcast.com. Click join us. Get in that Discord server. There are tens of thousands of people. They're all hanging out. They're having a party, and they're wondering why you're not there. But you can come because you're invited. Join us at Timcast.com as a member of the Discord. We are working on a bunch of special events. We're trying to get our main coffee shop open. I know it's been taking a long time, but at the bare minimum, you can call in to the uncensored portion of the show. We do that Monday through Thursday here on Timcast IRL at 10 p.m. Also, don't forget, smash that like button. Share the show with everyone you know. Joining us tonight to talk about this and so much more is Patrick Casey.
Hey, thank you for having me on, Tim.
Who are you? What do you do?
So I'm a writer, editor. I have a podcast. It's called Restoring Order. I post a lot on Twitter. It's kind of a paleocon commentary on things happening in the world.
Right on. Thanks for hanging out. Tate's here.
What's up, guys? Tate Brown here, holding it down. Happy to be here.
Hello, everybody. My name is Phil Labonte. I'm the lead singer of the heavy metal band All That Remains. I'm an anti-communist and a counter-revolutionary. Let's get into it.
Here's the news from Axios. Trump seeks $100,000 visa fee for temporary skilled workers. Trump announced that highly skilled workers hoping to work in America will now have to pay a $100,000 fee to receive an H1B visa, multiple outlets reported. H1B visas divided Trump's MAGA coalition, with some arguing foreign employees displace American workers, while business leaders like Elon Musk view them as vital to America's tech dominance. Trump also signed an order to create a gold card to sell U.S. residency for $1 million. This, as far as anyone's concerned, this ends H1B. And I'll tell you why. When they say high-skilled workers, that's not H-1B. People have been posting job offers they found from like various recruiters where they're looking for like low-level managers for $35,000 a year. And you don't need to recruit from India or any other foreign country for that. What they're really doing is trying to get cheap labor from foreign countries that will take a job in America but will work for less, displacing American workers. So Trump, he just split the baby. Right? The big tech people said, no, we need H-1B. And they were saying American workers are lazy. And then you get the working class MAGA people who are like, no way, dude. Why are we competing with these people from foreign lands? So Trump says, okay, if you really want to hire somebody because you can't find anybody else, you got to pay $100,000. Now, guess what? If a company really genuinely needs an engineer from a foreign country and they can't find anybody here in the United States, they might pay the $100,000. Why? Because this person's going to get paid $400,000 as it is. They might say, okay, fine, we'll pay that fee because we need the employee. Low skill labor being imported to displace American workers, ain't nobody spending $100,000 to hire a guy for $35K. So this is effectively ending the H-1B visa program as far as anyone's concerned.
Yeah, I mean, they had system or software engineer listings for like 60 grand in San Jose.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely ridiculous. Like, they're making it abundantly clear that they were undercutting American wages. And then, yeah, you had like yoga instructors listed for H1B. Like, it was
Yoga instructors.
Yeah, and it was a major company, and they had a yoga instructor listed.
To be fair, you probably should get someone from India for that.
It's true.
Otherwise, it's cultural
The expert.
appropriation.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, you don't want to be racist.
Cultural appropriation is good, though.
Yeah. It was just madness. So yeah, like
proponents of the H1B program make this really bad argument that it's totally dishonest, that it's about scooping up the best talent from around the world and bringing people in. We have other visas that do that for, like, the brilliant mathematician and whatever else. The H1B program is a program almost explicitly designed to undercut American wages, and particularly in the tech role. But as we've seen with some of these job postings, it's all across the board.
Tim had actually done some digging the other day, and it's not just the H-1B visas. There are multiple visas that are basically
The O1?
useless. Well, the O1 is a
useless.
good one, but that are basically useless. Basically, just some excuse to bring in a worker that to give them a job that could be filled by an American. So I think that the H1 getting rid of or making the H-1B financially unrewarding for people is a good start. But I think that's just it. It's just a start. Like, there's no reason to import workers to do jobs that Americans can do.
Yeah, and there's also like an 85,000 job cap supposedly on it. So it's like, if the argument is we're bringing in high skilled applicants and then they use a lottery system to decide who's actually getting these visas, then it totally kills the point of if it was high school in the first place. And then once you dig a little bit, you realize this is even high school. This is just a jobs program.
If you get really good at yoga, do you learn how to breathe fire? Is that like, my only exposure to yoga is passively watching rom-coms and Street Fighter 2.
My girlfriend does like pregnant yoga.
Oh,
so that's
no fire breathing.
No fire
Sounds
breathing.
dangerous for a pregnant woman.
She's not. I don't think so.
Oh,
I think it's safe. So, but
okay, good.
But I mean, another thing about the H-1B visas, when someone gets an H-1B visa, a lot of times their residency is connected to having a job. So it turns them into basically an indentured slave or indentured servant.
Right.
So the company can do things like, oh, you have to work this weekend. And then if they're like, no, I don't want to, it's like, well, maybe you do want to because you want to stay here. Sure. And it really, it becomes a tool of coercion by a company to, tell a worker or to
American workers, they're so entitled. They want these things called raises, and maybe they want to take breaks and vacations and things like that. But you can pluck a guy out of some war-torn third world village, and he's not going to ask for any of that.
Yeah. I actually figured it out here at Timcast. We don't give raises. You get an annual pay decrease, and if you're really good, we'll keep your salary at the same level. So everyone's really fighting real hard.
Oh well, yeah. Yeah, you can't even get a smoke break anymore because of these H1Bs. Now it's a Zen break. What's going on?
And you get the
That's
Zen
Gen
you have to
Z's
do
fault.
while you're here.
Yeah, it's getting crazy out here.
Doesn't Tucker Carlson have his own brand of Zins?
Alps.
Does.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
They come damp. It's a little wild.
Is that bad?
Well, I don't want. It feels like it's been sucked on.
Oh, that's weird. Like
Pause.
It never
Pause.
occurred to me. But
Open a
like
thing
it's
of
like
gum.
Someone else already used it or something.
that's
Precisely. Yeah.
That's a good idea. Like, we should sell gum where when you open it up, it looks like gum with bite marks in it, and
As far as
little wet.
the pre-sucked on, it's like what he's really doing is he's getting all of his friends that use Zins.
It's all these
Give
H1Bs.
them
They're
to
sucking on
him,
them.
and he just resells them.
Yeah, it's these
They
H1Bs.
spit them out and throw them in a thing and repackage them.
Tucker's like, I'm gonna make millions.
Does he actually use them? He sticks them in his mouth?
Oh yeah.
So weird. It doesn't make your gums rot and your teeth fall out?
No,
Eventually.
no. Well, actually,
Not according to RFK.
so I've done a little actually reading on it, and as far as I know, the nicotine pouches and stuff like that, they're not a carcinogen. They don't rot your gums. They don't, because nicotine itself isn't a carcinogen. It's all the other stuff that usually comes along.
yeah.
with nicotine.
I'm a heavy Zen user though, and I did feel like the wall of my gum getting thinner and thinner.
Are you sure about that? Or are you just like neurotic?
You stop doing it?
It restricts your.
Yeah, I did.
It's a vasoconstrictor, nicotine, so it might be restricted. But you're right that it's not like
It's definitely
cancerous.
the healthiest way to use nicotine, which
Yes.
in and of itself is harmless.
It's not the most awesome. I tell you what, I miss Marlboros like a madman.
Yeah, it doesn't have the same like gravitas as
No.
smoking.
There's
but
no
it's better
aura.
than vaping though. It's better than
Oh,
vaping.
way more aura than vaping.
More
I
aura
just
than
Sucking
vaping.
on Robot D.
Yeah.
I hear you're supposed to jog while you Zin, and then what happens is your body starts conflating the Zin nicotine with jogging, and you'll be like, I gotta go for a run, man, and you'll get like super fit.
That's probably
It's not a bad idea.
Well, you can use Zen if you're really trying to get into a habit, you can use it as like a reward. So then you're addicted to the habit because you know you're going to get Zen doing
That's it.
It's genius.
What?
Like it's just addicted to Zen, but
It's definitely
Yeah,
addicted to
but
nicotine.
you trick your body by engaging in that routine
yeah.
behavior, and then
Pavlov. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
just talking about this, I can't wait to get home. I want to smoke a cigar.
Well, that's what they're saying. It's like some dating advice. Is I don't know if this is legal, but you can like put a nicotine pouch on the person that you want to date. And then, I'm just saying.
Probably
it's a
not
thing.
legal, but
Probably not legal. This is not advice.
Hey, that'll
I'm
break the
just saying
restraining
it's a
order,
thing.
bro. Come
People
on.
have been doing this. H1Bs have been doing this
happened?
apparently. Yeah. But
the camera go out.
Maybe it's on. That's where I thought it was. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
Anyway, we were talking about not letting people into the country.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the thing is like it does feel the H1Bs because the green card process takes so long that they just become like total indentured servants, and that's the pitch people are making most often. But I'm also like, but this just harms Americans. Like it sucks for them, but it's probably better than being in India.
But people don't realize that a lot of these, when you go to like a Chinese nail salon and stuff like that, when you go to places where it's very clearly all immigrant workers and it's a trend, these people are all slaves.
Right.
I don't draw a distinction between indentured servant and slave. I mean, maybe I'm being a little hyperbolic, but you'll go to like a Chinese food restaurant. Everybody working there is Asian. What they do is the company will sponsor somebody or someone will sponsor somebody, and they'll say, we'll bring you over here. It's going to cost $20,000 and you're going to work until you pay it off. But it's ridiculously difficult to pay off when they're paying you $3 an hour or whatever. And then you're getting
chargebacks.
You're getting paid properly, but you have no control of the money because your contract deal is in a different country. This is kind of like when we saw the Chinese police stations in North America. We can say you can't do that here, but they can hold contracts in other countries while they're here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird.
yeah, and a good. It's a good argument against mass immigration because it shows when you have like the mass transfer of people from one country to ours that like there's still that connection back to their country, and in a lot of ways, it could be secret, CCP police, it could be weird labor stuff going on. It builds a connection that you might not want to have, and I would say we shouldn't have.
Someone just super chat or checked the H1B Reddit, so I did.
Oh, they're crashing out right now.
Oh, dude, it is crazy. They've never had more activity on their subreddit than now. It's official. Executive order just signed about the $100,000 fee. Look at this. Administration reviewing, that's from a month ago, 55 million holders for violations. RIP H1B program. Let's go. Look at this. In 2025, the total number of H1Bs was roughly 730,000, which is less than 0.5 of the total U.S. workforce of over 170 million. Rest in peace. I'm telling you, people were saying, like I said, the title of the video is Trump just ended the H1B program because it is an effective termination. And there are people being like, no, we did it. It's still there. Bro, I'm telling you, it is cooked, right? Ain't nobody's going to bring on some $30,000 a year ice cream store manager now when they got to pay $130,000 for it.
It also raised the wage floor for the H-1Bs from like $60K to $150K. So you have to pay these people way more, which obviously, if these are the best and brightest from around the world, then there shouldn't be a problem there. But obviously, that's not what the program is.
It re-incentivizes American hiring. Exactly.
And it replaced the lottery dynamic of the H-1B with kind of a highest bidder thing. So it's a great policy. And I just want to point out that there have been people claiming for like a year now that Donald Trump was going to like massively expand the H-1B program. There was some viral post like a few days ago, and all of these people are just totally wrong. These people that just lie about Trump all the time.
So apparently it gets better. It's not $100,000 for the visa. It's $100,000 every year.
Oh,
yeah.
even
yearly
worse.
fee.
Yeah. It's a yearly fee.
Yeah.
Yo, I like
Man.
Look at this. $100,000 per year, as good as canceling H-1Bs altogether.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Not worth it even for those who make 200,000.
Why is there an H1B visa Reddit page? What's the
right.
Okay.
What?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's people from around the world trying to get into our country using this program, and they're talking about how maybe not gaming the system, probably a bit of that, but how you can make sure your application gets approved.
I guess the follow-up question to that is, does ICE know that there's
Right.
an H1B
This is free
visa?
game.
Yeah, right.
Hey, fellas.
Well,
People are violating the law.
H1Bers in disarray, Panickin's in disarray, Jimmy Kimmel's in disarray. This is great.
now,
It's been a great week.
for the rest of us Americans, but wait, there's more. From NBC News, tear gas used on protesters at Chicago area ICE site as immigration crackdown escalates. Federal officers in camouflage and riot gear clashed as demonstrators blocked vehicles in protest of Trump's expanding enforcement sweep. Well, I do believe we have video. Wait, where did I put that video?
Get the spicy smoke.
Where's that video we have? I don't know where. Oh, here it is. Here it is. It's in the back for some reason. Whoop. Here you go. Here's Kat Abu Ghazala getting shoved. And then she slips. Oh. Shame. So I got a question about this, right? Why do we tolerate a bunch of people screaming and blocking and obstructing law enforcement?
That guy didn't.
I know, but like, there's a video of a guy like shaking his butt.
Yeah,
and the cops being like, shoot me. And I'm like, why don't you just arrest them all? Honest question. I understand peaceable assembly. And the idea there would be these people would be outside of the facility holding signs, chanting, not confronting and fighting with cops to where the cops need to be armed. The moment they step up and start physically obstructing, it's a riot, arrest them.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that. Impeding federal law enforcement is absolutely a crime. And I think the administration's trying to be pretty, even-handed with this. But, I think there were some politicians up in, like, what was it, Boston, who were arrested. So they are making some arrests. I want to point out that Kat here is running for Congress. So she thinks it's a good idea to be seen impeding federal law enforcement. And that really just shows where the left is at this point. They haven't mellowed out, not at all. The mayor of, what was it, Evanston? I forget the guy's name, but he was seen on camera wearing a mask, blocking an ICE vehicle with the crowd. So the Democrats, it's not that they just believe in this. They think that this is good. They think that this is what their base wants. And if you're running for Congress in, what is it, Illinois? Then that probably is what the Democrats want there.
I mean, this kind of behavior does get clicks, and it gets young people on Instagram excited, and it gets young people to possibly even donate, but it doesn't get young people to the polls.
Yeah,
because young people don't effing vote. And I mean, personally, I think that I don't want to say that I wish that it weren't true, but I think that it's a reality that people should acknowledge. Like, no matter how many people are on your Instagram Live, no matter how many people are watching your reels, no matter how many people click on your video of you getting manhandled by the police and tell you you're the best and how brave you are and give you all kinds of affirmations, that doesn't translate into getting kids to the polls.
I have a question for where this all goes with this Kat Abu Ghazala. If you go online and start espousing political beliefs that are favorable to a foreign nation, like let's say you make a channel that's just all about Japanese politics, and you're sitting there and you're screaming and you're yelling and konnichiwa or whatever, and Japanese people are watching your show and you're making millions of dollars. Then in America, with the millions of dollars you make, you announce you're running for Congress. And you use all that money to win your congressional race and then start basically lobbying on behalf of Japan. And do we have an answer for when this happens? Because I feel like this is what we're seeing right now, actually. There are people who go on social media, they build a big following, but the following is going to be a lot of foreign individuals who have interests in the certain ideas they may be pushing. Then they're going to start running for office, and they're going to have a monetary base, not when they're running for office, because at that point you cut it off, but I think the story was that Hillary Clinton gave us, before she announced she was running for office, she gave a speech to Goldman Sachs for like $250,000. And everyone's like, we get it. Okay. That's a campaign contribution so long as it's a speaker fee.
Right.
Nobody, you can't legally do anything about it. What are we going to do when people build big followings of foreign, individuals? I'm not saying it's illicit. I'm saying somebody literally is like, I'm very much interested in the politics of the Middle East. They build up a big following of Middle Eastern individuals. They have 1 million, 2 million followers. They start posting sponsorships and ads. They start making money off that. They make themselves millionaires. And then they say, I'm going to finance my own campaign with my money and win. But their interest is lobbying for a foreign country.
Yeah, it's a problem because I think most people would agree that that's definitely an ethically questionable at the very least. But you're right that if done in that way, in that order, it wouldn't necessarily violate any, campaign finance laws.
But our country's cooked.
Yeah, and the internet grows more third world every day. And, we're seeing this play out with a lot of different narratives and sort of movements. And you're right. I hadn't actually considered that angle, but yeah, I would imagine we're going to feel the direct political ramifications of that more and more in the coming decades.
Well, I bring this up because Kat Abu Ghazala, I believe she is Palestinian.
I believe so.
Yeah, I think her dad is Palestinian. So she has a foreign interest. And fair point. I know everyone's going to bring it up. Israel, 100%. I'm not counting that out. There are people who have dual citizenships or other loyalties, and they will build up a base from people in foreign countries that will finance or fund them. Then later on, when they run for office, and to be fair, we can even exclude the run for office part. We are going to have prominent individuals lobbying on behalf of foreign countries in this country because their audience is going to be composed of people from foreign countries. I think it's already happening.
It's already happening 100%.
And the H1B thing, I think especially. And that's why many of us have been saying, Elon needs to create a way to region lock so that we do not see views, comments, retweets, or posts from countries we don't want to. So let's say someone posts a tweet where they're like, what's a good country that's obscure and no one cares about? I don't know. I'm not going to, no matter what I say, someone's going to have some problem with it. So they say some slogan for some country and they get 1 million views on it. Some kid, 15-year-old, logs in and sees 1 million views on this post and thinks it's American views.
Right.
And they don't realize it's a bunch of Eritreans cheering, woo.
Yeah.
And so they start replicating that content to pander to a foreign country in the United States.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, well, you're seeing the very small scale version, with Ilhan Omar, where she basically has an ethnic enclave behind her, ensuring election after election. Yeah. And you see the way she's behaved just with that. I mean, she's still accountable to a large degree to the rest of the country. She is in the House of Representatives, but ultimately she's accountable to her district, and she rewards them. She advocates and lobbies for Somali interests in Congress. And so
exactly.
And she openly
she
does
says
it.
it.
Too.
Yeah.
Oh, she's literally will say it in Somali, and you're sitting here like, something's not adding up here.
Yeah, she's basically a representative from Somalia to the United States.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that kind of stuff, I don't know what the solution is, how to prevent that, but that's something that should not happen. We should not have a person in Congress that's essentially representing another country, whether it doesn't matter if it's Somalia or any other country. They should not be representing a foreign nation.
Well, and it's the thing with Elon, it's okay, there's this push now to get her denaturalized and deported, et cetera, et cetera. And it's I mean, that'd be great. That would be a solution. But the problem is you're gonna have more and more people like her who actually are we're born here and everything passes, everything, everything's above the board. She wasn't, but I'm saying is okay, you get her out, you're gonna have the same problem because they're just gonna elect another Somali, and this guy might have been born there. So
you know what? I think that's a reality. I think let's start here. Someone's going to lobby on behalf of foreign interests. It's going to happen, and obviously Israel is a really great example. Our members of Congress go over there all the time. There's too
dual
much
citizens.
Yeah.
There are a bunch of dual citizens, people that are citizens of Israel and citizens of the U.S., and they're in Congress.
Yeah.
And that shouldn't be the case. And so that Ilhan Omar. Let's start here. She's not from here. She emigrated here, and okay, that's fine. Did she commit fraud?
Right.
Okay, and if the answer is yes, then we denaturalize and deport. I don't care if she won an election or otherwise, and that's true for anybody for any country.
Sure.
I'm just saying, even if we get that done, it's that's great, and I agree that should be done. It's you're going to kick the can. We have to address why there's so many Somalis in Minneapolis, because all they're going to do is just elect another Ilhan Omar, and this time they'll make sure she didn't marry her brother this time. So it's at a certain point. Same thing with Zoran, same thing with Rashida Tlaib. You have to ask, why are there so many people in these districts or in these cities that are voting purely on ethnic interests?
Yeah.
So,
well, we brought in, many millions of people from all around the world that, believe it or not, don't buy into kind of Anglo-liberal individualism. And it's just an incredibly, tribalism is the norm outside of the West, and even just more specifically the Anglosphere. So when you bring people over in small amounts, they generally will assimilate. When you bring people over in large amounts, they're less likely to assimilate. And when you consider what immigrants are assimilating to now, it could be Black Lives Matter and liberalism just generally.
I'm getting 1 second. I have a correction. I'm getting a text here. They're asking me to say, it is completely okay that we have members of Congress that travel to Israel and pledge support for Israel. Thank you and have a nice day.
Man, that's weird. A lot didn't text me.
I'm kidding. I don't care what country it is.
A bunch of people in Pakistan watching the stream just got very mad. So they're calling you Jewish on Twitter.
They do.
Yeah. I get it too. Yeah. Even on tweets that have nothing to do with Israel, I'm just I want less immigration, and someone's Jew, and I look at their location Bangladesh or something, and it's really all right.
Yeah.
I guess that's what being Jewish is.
I think, it's really funny, too, because Netanyahu issued a statement about how he did not kill Charlie Kirk. And this is like the weirdest timeline we're in.
Yeah.
And he said that, I think he accused Qatar. Is that who he accused? He said foreign nations are funding all this stuff.
The influence narratives, not the actual assassination.
No, yeah, the narratives.
Yeah.
Like, I think he.
I'm sure he did, and I'm sure Qatar has some level of online influence.
Everyone does.
Yeah, that's definitely the most realistic take on it.
Yeah, it's absolutely wild how Nick Fuentes came out as the voice of reason, saying like, "Guys, come on! Like, Israel didn't kill him."
I never thought it wasn't Israel would be a sentence that I heard come out of Nick Fuentes' mouth. But I mean, look, it does actually. Look, there are people that are already saying Nick got the call. That's BS. But like, it does actually add to his credit, like gives him a modicum of credibility, because you're like, all right, well, then this makes me believe that even if I disagree with him about his takes about Israel, he's honest about them. He really does believe these things, because he's saying this particular case I don't think is Israel. So like, if he were just a grifter that was grifting off of anti-Israel sentiment, because there's a lot of people globally that are really anti-Israel, and you can make a lot of money and get a lot of followers by being anti-Israel. And if he was actually just a grifter and didn't actually at least believe the things that he said, why wouldn't he say, well, of course Israel was going after Charlie Kirk? Well, of course, it would probably satisfy a large portion of his less attached to reality followers,
So you guys know how I met with Netanyahu earlier this year, a few months ago.
Yeah.
And it was Chatham House rules, meaning we're not supposed to reveal anybody who was there. Nick Fuentes was there. That was a joke. Anyway, moving on. Unfortunately, now there's going to be a bunch of people that are going to be like, that proves it! And they're going to start tweeting at him, and they're going to say he got the call, and Tim Pool claimed he was there. And I'm like, I'm literally joking. Nick was not there. Yeah.
Tim Pool outflanks everyone on the Israel issue.
I really do think that, a lot of people will frame all of it as like influence operations, manipulation. I think it's just real people. There are real people that live in other countries that watch content.
Yeah.
There's like I watch content from a bunch of foreign people. They skateboard. There's a lot of Japanese content in skateboarding. So I'm watching a bunch of stuff on Instagram from Japanese people about Japan. And I'm like, look at that, whatever. And people in Japan have interest in the things we do here. So for politics, especially considering the United States is basically the top of the mountain, they're going to be watching all this political commentary. And English is the business language of the world. So a lot of these people speak to a certain degree English, or will use translators. And now with like X, it's auto-translating. So you're going to get people from all over the world commenting, tweeting. We got to be able to block that. I want to be able to go on X and be like, I only want to see America. To be completely honest, I'd say Canada, the U.S., Mexico, and maybe Europe.
I mean, honestly, not that I know anything about the back end at X, but I mean, it seems like it wouldn't be particularly difficult to just say, these are the, select the countries. Here's a list of countries that I care about. I want to see tweets from these regions.
Because there's never been I'm seeing a really intellectual discourse going on. I'm like, you know what does someone from Pakistan think about this? It's never occurred to me once in my life.
To be fair, I'm very concerned about what Malaysians think, but it's okay because I follow Ian Miles Chong.
Sure, he's on the case. He's on the case.
It just so happens that he reflects my opinion back at me quite often.
Fair enough.
Ian Miles Chong is very familiar with what America thinks and stuff, but I imagine he has no idea what Malaysia is.
I got to imagine he lives like a king in Malaysia.
Probably, yeah.
Because he's producing content for Americans. It's very smart.
Yeah.
I got to be honest. There's something that's like a net negative. It's a neutral thing. We don't want foreign individuals to realize they can produce content to pander to us and get advertiser dollars off of it. But he's saying the right things. You know what I mean? So I'm like, sometimes. What's the GDP of Malaysia?
Well, also
45 cents.
No one's got to be more crushed than him that the America Party thing's not happening.
I was gonna say, Ian Miles Chong is generally on the right, but he sided with Elon's crash out that Elon himself has
walked back,
distanced himself from, to his credit. Yeah, credit where credit's due.
$13,000 is their GDP per capita.
Oh, he's raking it in, yeah.
Bro, I mean, what is it like 70,000 in the United States or something like that?
Yeah, give or take.
68, I think. Let me check United States. United States GDP. Because if you're making good influencer money with hundreds of thousands of followers, it is 89,000. That's inflation for you.
Jeez.
Bro, if you had $100,000 per year and you're living in Malaysia, you're 10 times.
You've got a compound, you've got a driver, you've got who knows what else.
King,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Maybe we should relocate IRL to the lower, to Malaysia,
It's not a bad
Singapore,
idea.
South Africa.
Singapore would be a lot.
Yeah,
South Africa, that'd be wild.
That'd be cheap.
Should have,
yeah.
walls
Maybe we'll get a
everywhere.
farm.
Yeah. We'll sing some songs.
We'll do. We'll basically live in a triple Faraday cage just for our own security.
Yeah. I always thought that, like, if Elon really wanted to, he could return to South Africa and just spend, like, a quarter of his net worth and just rule the country for, like, in perpetuity. I'm saying I like having him here to fight for us, but, like, he could do that whenever he wants.
The problem is it's too far away from the equator for launching into space.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he would have to, like hire some PMCs to take some land or something. I don't know. But I don't know if you're listening. I mean, you could literally just become king, like, really whenever you want.
Yeah.
You just...
Let's jump to this next story from NPR. We are all Jimmy Kimmel. What late night hosts are saying about Kimmel's suspension. Well, I'll give you the gist. Stephen Colbert basically doubled down. He showed on his show the clip of Jimmy Kimmel saying the shooter was effectively MAGA. And then he goes, is that it? What's wrong with that? Like, he's just being Jimmy Kimmel. That's totally fine. And I think what Colbert is doing, I think he's trying to get fired. His show is already canceled. He's already super rich. He doesn't need to do this anymore. His ratings are in the gutter. Could you imagine? Jimmy Kimmel's only getting 129,000 in the key demo?
Dude.
I got to be completely honest. If you are like a college age dude, you're Gen Z, and you finally reach that point where your podcast, every day you're doing an hour-long podcast, you're cracking 129,000, you're going like, this is amazing. Because if you're getting 129K on a podcast in the key demo, you are making money on that podcast. I mean, you're probably making like $500,000 a year with proper sponsorships and all that stuff. You don't always sell, sometimes you do. So you're Gen Z, you're like, this is fantastic. But when you're someone like Jimmy Kimmel and you're worth tens of millions and you're watching your ratings just plummet, I'm sure he's got to be having an existential crisis. Colbert, I should say, more to this point. Colbert used to get millions, and now the ratings are just in the gutter. And while he's still getting like $1.5 million to $2 million in the retiree demographic, I'm not trying to disrespect retirees, key demo is gone. At a certain point, don't you just take a look at the numbers and go, well, it was good while it lasted. You know, there were bands that put out 2 albums and they're on the top and then you never hear from them again.
Yep.
So Colbert, I think, is basically like, they canceled the contract, but I'm stuck here. I'm stuck here until the next 8 months. I know. He can't violate the morality clause in his contract overtly because then they'll just come after him for money. But if he pokes a bear quite a bit, then they might just be like, all right, Colbert, you're off the air. And he go, oh, thank God.
Yeah, I mean, look, the whole, I'm going to double down, and I've got, he had the story that he's had a more inflammatory monologue to give the second day that after he initially kind of, offended people. That kind of makes me think that you might have a point, because, look, it was clear that, like, the first things that he said, while they were distasteful, they weren't really like going after either the voters or Charlie Kirk himself. It was definitely poking at Trump, which is, standard fare for Jimmy Kimmel. But if he was going to do a monologue going after, the MAGA voters, essentially, which is basically most of the Republicans nowadays, the vast majority at least, that I understand why they would be like, yo, we don't want this, So maybe he did have a.
I think Colbert's
I'm going to say
it.
it, and if it ends up killing my employment here, that's fine.
Yeah.
Colbert's legacy right now is he fizzled out and fell apart. Mm-hmm. If he gets fired overtly and his show is taken off the air abruptly, then he's going to start doing the rounds and go to the liberal circuit and be like, look at Trump, he's a fascist. This proves it.
Yeah, well, I think he's like envious that Kimmel in and of himself has become like a wedge issue now, and he's like, that should have been me.
That's true.
I got pulled first.
Exactly. Colbert's show they announced they were terminating the contract, but they're keeping him on the air, so it's not that big a deal. And then Kimmel gets yanked at the last minute, and Colbert's like, I have to imagine, how old is Colbert? Like 70?
Yeah, he might be. You know, there's a lot of hair dye going on.
70 years old.
How old is he? Let's find out. He's 61. All right, I wasn't that far off.
It's about as old as most of the people watching at this point.
Or
right?
older.
Yeah.
No, but for real, they're 70. It's about 70 plus. I have to imagine when you're 61, not everybody, but a lot of people, and you're worth tens of millions. I mean, what's Colbert's net worth? Let's find out. Colbert net worth. These things are always wrong. What's the ballpark on his net worth? 75 million? Bro, don't you just want to put your feet up and sip a pina colada and, just chill? What's he doing? It's like his ratings are so down in the gutter. He's got to just be like, well, been there, done that, won his Emmys, had a massive show to the millions, and now he's fizzling out. Audience dwindling. He's worth an estimated $75 million. He can just ride off into the sunset, enjoy life.
Does he have big notes on his house? Is he living above his means?
I don't know, man. They say he's worth $75 million. It says that his salary for the Late Show with Colbert in 2015 was $6 million. And then in 2019, they signed a deal that raised his pay to $15 million, extended to May 2026.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you want to live like a normal person, if you have $10 million in the bank, that's plenty of money to live completely normal. If you're not living above your means, if you want to just like live like a normal person, that's enough to live like your whole life. So,
Do you think he was kind of hoping that they would take his show off for saying something?
He just did it. This is just last night. I think he wants a mega backlash. He wants people to go like, you're just rebroadcasting what Kimmel said and you're lying. You're lying to your audience.
Right.
So that he can get taken down. And he gets paid. I mean, let me just stress, $15 million a year. One could just imagine. That's more than $1 million per month you are getting paid. He's getting like $1.3 million per month. That's what he's getting paid. I don't even know what you do with that much money. I don't think a regular human could spend that on normal things.
Well, the show's in New York, so rent.
Aha.
Yeah. No, but I don't know. Like, what do you do in this situation? Because he's outside of LA. He's going to go to LA.
I don't know what any human does with that amount of money. I really don't.
Yeah.
Like private jets, if when you're getting $1.3 million per month, you're literally you could fly. Well, to be fair, you're not. If you're a billionaire, you're flying like Taylor Swift is flying wherever she wants on a large jet. At $1.3 million per month, you're maybe flying on the weekends anywhere you want to go, and it's not putting a dent in your money. So, I mean, if you were going to fly like round trip to Europe, it's probably $100,000. And so for Colbert, he's like, you want to do a weekend in Prague? What do we care? 1/13 of my monthly salary.
And again, like when you have that kind of money, you've got millions invested, and the money itself that you've invested grows likely faster than you can spend it, unless you're unless you're going and doing like high stakes games in Vegas.
Dividends alone. This is what's crazy. So I don't have a lot invested in the stock market. Like I actually don't have even like a standard retirement account, but I have stocks, and the dividends that some of these stocks pay, you just keep buying more. Like they buy themselves. It's crazy. I can't imagine somebody who's making $1.3 million, $15 million a year. Mm-hmm. I mean, they say his net worth is $75 million. If that's properly invested in the market, it's infinite money. I think based John McCain famously said in the 2008 cycle, when he was asked how much money do you need to be wealthy, he said $7 million. And then people got all shocked and offended because like, are you kidding? If I had $1 million? And what he was saying was, if you have $7 million in 2008 and you put that into proper wealth management, you are getting paid your annual return minus inflation will cover your standard middle class cost of living. You are truly wealthy. You don't have to work anymore. Today, based on the market expansion, you probably need something like, well, to be fair, no. I mean, even with cost of living going up, you could still feasibly at 10 million never have to work again and be rich. And I'm not talking about middle class. I'm saying rich. Yeah. You never got to work again.
You're not going to be flying private jets all the time. If you don't want to work, but at $10 million in the bank, you don't have to worry about anything. That's your FU money, you know.
So
Yeah.
regardless, Colbert at this point is looking for a legacy, not a paycheck.
Yeah, I think Colbert probably cares more about status, attention, fame. You know, he's obviously, as you've established, not wanting for money. But I think a lot of liberals are very, I mean, conservatives are to some extent, but liberals are very driven by virtue signaling, by status. And yeah, I mean, these are not religious people. They get that kind of feeling by doing other things. But I do like your theory that he just kind of maybe wants the show to be over because it's not doing well. And if it was canceled, he could be like, they canceled my super popular show. And, you know, I'm kind of my own sort of martyr for my beliefs, and just like not go back to doing a show because no one's going to watch it.
Yeah, because
To be fair, I just looked up in July, he got 3 million. It's not Key Demo. Key Demo, I think he's getting 200 and something thousand. But 3 million, that's a lot of, you know, older folks.
But once the boomers die off, there's not going to be an audience for like generational procession is going to get rid of some of these like forms, the whole like a late night talk show. It's done.
The apocalypse that is coming for us, because the boomers have just reached what's called the mortality shelf.
Okay.
So I think Trump's 79 now, right? We've had this conversation so many times. He's the oldest of the boomers. He was born, I think, at the earliest point at which you could be a boomer, and he is at life expectancy at 79.
Oh, okay.
So what happens now is we are going to start seeing an exponential death rate. Like the death rate for boomers is skyrocketing now because they're getting close to that age. Now I know people are living longer these days, but with the current way things are going politically, the expectation is that the mortality shelf should be the same for boomers as it has been for every generation. So right now there's about 60 million boomers, I think. And within the next 10 years, it'll drop down to 20 million. So that means all of these institutions will cease to exist in the next 10 years. Where we go, I honestly don't know. There's a lot of variables in politics and economics, but the one thing we can talk about is the housing market, which is predominantly controlled by the boomers. They own, I think, something like 60, 70% of real estate. They own something like 40% of corporate equities. Gen X has like 20%, millennials have like 5%, and Gen Z has 0%. So when boomers die, what happens to all that property?
Yeah, I mean, well, you get Trump and then, you know, hypothetically Vance for 8 years. That's effectively no immigration for 12 years straight, and then compounded with the entire boomer housing market being freed up. I mean, it could get pretty, like, maybe Zoomers could own a house at the end of the day. I don't know. I mean, with those two factors, that seems to suggest the market.
I think the housing market's going to collapse massively unless the government steps in with BlackRock and the Federal Reserve and props up the property value, which is what they might try and do, which will cause international problems because foreign countries are going to be like, this is fake. So basically the idea is boomers have multiple homes. Gen Z has none. Half of millennials have homes. 75% of Gen X have homes. The idea is that when boomers die, millennials are the ones who largely inherit those properties. But without boomers, who can buy properties? Millennials can't afford it. So a millennial who moved from St. Louis to New York to go to the big city inherits a house in St. Louis and says, I don't want to live in St. Louis. They inherit the home, and their parents die, and it's very sad, and they go to their lawyer and say, I just want to find someone to sell it. They get an agent. The agent lists the house. It's a $500,000 house. No one wants to buy it. Why? Millennials can't afford it. So then they say, well, just look, I'm not going to come and deal with this. There's taxes. There's bills. Just drop the price. $400,000, nobody buys it. $300,000, nobody buys it. $250,000? Some millennial says, okay, I can do $250,000. I can afford a loan on $250,000. So the housing market just collapses by some massive number overnight, and that's going to cause a shockwave around the world because of what that's going to affect. There's an alternative. Fearing an economic crisis because of the collapse of housing prices, the government says, let's have those homes be bought up, by BlackRock or other companies that are funded by the federal, that basically get free money from the Federal Reserve. So the millennial inherits the house and says, it's a $500 house, $500,000 house, list it. Nobody wants to buy it. The government says, we can't let them drop the prices. So BlackRock comes in and says, we'll buy it at $500,000. And the money came from the Federal Reserve printed out of thin air. And then that millennial has that money, and then they translate it into some other, market. And that's how they prop up the housing market and prevent the global crisis, which is what some people think is happening right now, actually.
Well, I mean, presumably, like if a Democrat won in 28, you would just get the Canada situation because like Canada is like 5-6 years older than us on average. They have a very old population, so they're kind of ahead of us in the death curve.
Well, that's why they're
extent.
importing the rest of the world.
Right. So I mean, like if a Democrat were to win in 28, that changes the calculus. They'll just flood the country with
Sure.
migrants again, and that'll keep the housing market afloat. But yeah, if Vance wins, I mean, that could totally
won't.
happen.
It won't keep the housing market afloat because Honduran farmers can't afford $500,000 houses.
No.
Yeah.
Indeed. So that's why printing fake money, you'll see massive inflation. You'll see really weird things happening. I got to tell you, haven't you guys noticed how weird everything is already with people who shouldn't be making lots of money, lots of gambling?
Yeah, the gambling's really
Gambling is very strange. How are there casinos everywhere? How is it that there are people who have such disposable income at a time? Like half the country has almost no money, and it's like I can't buy eggs, and the other half is like, let's go burn money at a casino.
Yeah. Well,
This is
Do you
not
think there's a
sustainable.
generational sort of dynamic there? It's like the stereotype, which might be somewhat justified, of boomers gambling away, spending away their children, grandchildren's inheritance. Just as one example, I haven't been to Vegas
Or Social Security.
Right? Yeah, sure. I haven't been to Vegas. I haven't been to many casinos, but I did go to the one in Charleston. You've got the
Charlestown.
Charlestown. Yes,
Because
yes.
there are two cities,
I'm aware. Yeah, the one close.
and they
to
both have a casino.
Do they really?
Yeah, Mardi Gras in Hollywood.
Yeah, so I went to the one in Charlestown, and it was entirely, maybe it was just because of the part of the country that it's in, but everyone was like 60, 70. So
Let me think. I think you're probably right. I actually think it's probably a lot of people in their 50s, a lot of Gen X.
okay, Gen X too. Okay.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is poker is really interesting because there's a term in poker called old man coffee, and it's just like an old guy who just sits there and never plays a hand, and then when he finally does, he's got aces.
Okay.
But there's a reason for this, and it's because, and this is kind of sad, the reason why in these poker rooms there's really old people who just sit there and never play a hand until only when they get the best one, which is fairly rare.
A social thing, or
They don't want to be lonely.
sure.
And so these are old people who maybe they're widowers or widows, and it's rare that you see older ladies in the poker room, but they just want to hang out. They want to be around people and they want to talk, and people are talking, and they're gambling Social Security checks.
Yeah.
So it's like they come in when the check comes in for the week or whatever, they cash it, go sit in the poker room, and then the sad thing is when you, like these young guys, rounders they call them, no one really says that anymore, but people who try to make money off poker, no, anytime one of these guys tries to enter a hand, you jam all your chips in, they'll fold because they're not there to win money, they're there to hang out, and they don't want to risk their money.
Sure.
So only when they have the best possible hand, and then everyone kind of feels bad when the old man like sits down, loses everything right away, and goes, well, I guess that's it for this week. I'll see you next time. And it's like he was there for 10 minutes.
It's pretty
and
bleak. Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh, man, he just wanted to hang out,
Better than being alone, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I think even younger people are getting one-shotted with gambling now because the sports betting is
Yeah, that's a good
everywhere.
point. I was thinking of kind of the traditional, like you sit down, you do slots, you do poker, whatever. But yeah, sports gambling is huge.
Yeah,
getting
but
out of
come on,
control.
dude. Come on, bro. You're Gen Z, right? $20 in the right parlay, and you're a millionaire.
Sure, like a 30-leg parlay. Like, all right, so
I
Luka
actually
Doncic
have-
needs
I
to
have-
sneeze in the third quarter, and this hits, guys. Just trust me.
I actually have a friend who's a millionaire from playing on one of those big sites, but he sits in front of spreadsheets for like 12 hours a day. So
I bet he's doing arbitrage, though. Are you familiar with sports betting arbitrage?
no. Go ahead.
So the basic idea is, I'm going to butcher this, but because I don't know too much about it, but if sports betting website A has like the odds are, +1, or it's like -100, +100, whatever, and then the other site, it's slightly inverted. If the numbers are right between two different sites, you are guaranteed to win. So if you're like, if I put $1 here and $1 here, and my input is $2, but based on the odds, I'll win either $3 or $2. I can't lose. And then so people sit in front of sports betting websites and waiting to find these, and then they make bets. And the thing is, these are different companies, so they don't know what you're doing on other websites and what your bets are, and you just get free money. Yep.
It's like totally ruining sports, though, because it's like all the athletes know. Like, they all know. They're all, like, winking at each other and everything. I mean, you can see some compilations. I won't say the specific players, but you can see compilations of players that, like, definitely knew they needed to, like, score an additional basket. And they would just put up a shot at the end of the game for no reason. Because
Didn't this just happen? Like some college guys were betting on themselves?
there was two NBA players that got, like, like busted by the feds, I think, over it was a big deal.
It seems like such a dumb thing to do. Like, how do you not know you're going to get caught doing?
I know, yeah, and they make it so obvious. It's like they're up by 30 at the end of the game, and he just throws like a half-court shot. Yeah. So, and it's also like ruining the viewership experience because they're throwing numbers. It's like I'm doing calculus when I'm trying to just watch like bowling.
Yeah, you're glued to your phone when you should be watching. I say that as a non-sports fan, but yeah, I could see that.
Maybe we need some kind of authoritarian fascistic regime to come in and tell everyone to stop gambling. I'm joking, by the way, but like I'm thinking about these casinos where people with excess cash have nothing to do with it, so they just sit there going like at the slot machine.
Yeah, it's bleak when you watch other people play slots like by themselves.
It's-
Like poker, yeah, you could have a good time playing poker.
It
You play
seems
with
like
your
a
friends.
game when all you're doing is just sitting there doing
Yeah,
this.
and it's like it's a dopamine thing too, because a lot of this stuff's digital, so it's kind of like being glued to your iPhone, but instead you're just like losing money and touching,
I'll tell you what
touching
it
buttons.
is.
Yeah,
People want to see miracles. That is
part of
that
it?
is the casino. That's it. And when so I'm a big poker player. Not going to pretend to be super good or anything, especially because I'm doing this poker game coming up, and I'm just going to pretend like I'm really bad because I don't want to get embarrassed. I probably am really bad. I'll just leave it at that. No, I'm probably okay, I guess. But the videos that go viral in poker are when someone should win but loses. And I was sitting there watching like every video you see. It's like some guy's a really good hand, the other guy's a bad hand, and then they both are like, I'm all in, and they shove their money in. And then at the very last card, the river, the guy with the crappy hand turns around and wins, and everyone's screaming and cheering, and I'm like, I hate that. Every player hates that.
yeah.
When you get in and you're behind, you're just hoping the miracle happens and dumb luck saves you, but it's like you're in trouble. But people love watching the rarities occur. And I think the reason they like slot machines, they don't make money doing it. You can't.
Sure.
It's because they want to see that rare moment to happen.
There's a guy in Las Vegas who literally just does that with a line of people that are out the door, and they all come and give him money to gamble, and he just keeps running the slot and with a video on his phone for when the one person makes that content, so he can post the content of the person in the video. It's crazy.
What?
Wildest thing I've ever seen. Yeah, I don't remember his name, but it's a real thing.
Because they want to be like, hey, I delivered that miracle. I
Yep,
made that miracle
literally
happen.
exactly what it is.
Yeah, that's
it's crazy.
It's like the chance of hitting the unicow in Planet Moolah is like 1 in 1 million, and people want to see the unicow.
Yep.
That's a real thing. I'm not making that up.
I said, sure. I have no idea what that is a reference to.
There's a game in casinos called Planet Moolah.
Okay.
Where the aliens are cows.
Okay.
And when you hit the button, the symbols all fall down, and there's an extremely rare chance, I don't know the actual number, it's not 1 in a million, that a unicow appears. It's a cow with a unicorn horn, and the game goes nuts, and you win a ton of
That
money.
sounds kind of sick. Yeah, I'd want to see that.
I
I don't know if I'd pay like hundreds of dollars for hours to see it.
Go on YouTube, and you can watch the video of someone else doing it.
I can see the unicow.
And it's got 1 million
Yeah.
views.
Okay.
And what's crazy is you've got gambling influencers now who don't care if they lose gambling because they're going to get 500,000 views on the video.
Oh yeah,
and,
I've seen
and
some
sell
of that.
sponsorships.
Yeah, definitely.
Wild. We are a dying civilization. I'm sorry. That's why I'm like, Elon, save us, because he's building rockets to go to Mars, and it's just like, is that the only thing that's actually being done towards advancement of human civilization?
It does feel like we're swirling the drain when you go to like any town, and the only businesses that are new are like weed shops and like vape stores and everything. It's just like, and everything, and there's sports gambling. I'm sorry to sound like a Scrooge, but it's like,
There's an aspect to decline that like you can't really quantify. That it's almost like an aesthetic phenomenon. You just
Yeah.
kind of see it, and you're like, this just doesn't feel good.
yeah, Tate, there are Dollar Generals there, bro. Come on. There's a brand new Dollar General.
Look, I've been known to frequent a Dollar General here and there, so I won't get onto that.
I see Dollar Trees around there that
There's
are
nothing
new.
wrong with the
There's
dollar
nothing wrong
show.
with the dollar, but it's like
come on.
just everything. It's
should
just
new stores.
uglier and worse, and I just like.
I went to one in El Salvador. They've been on the dollar since
Whoa.
the early 2000s, so they got Dollar General down there.
Nice.
Dope. That's cool.
Let's go.
The dollar stores are no longer a dollar anymore.
Oh yeah, I went in there. There's like $5 now.
Yeah,
like,
man,
what's the
like-
point?
Yeah, they're $1.50s. But
The more
So,
sign of civilizational.
I know it's over. It's actually over when that happens.
So I can't actually search on Google for these, but have you driven down the road and counted how many hotspots there are? You know what a hotspot is?
So
They're bars with slot machines, and the windows are blacked out because you're not legally allowed to. Like you cannot be slot machines and alcohol can't be visible from the street. So all of these, there are buildings over here. It's crazy, dude. They look like abandoned buildings with no windows, and then you'll just see a door with an open sign, and you're like, "There's no name. The business has no name. There's no real parking lot, and there'll be like 2 or 3 cars." And you'll watch a guy walk up and like press a button. It'll open. It'll go in. And you'll be like, "What is this?" You'll go there. It is a dark, room with a bar and a wall of slot machines and old people just tapping away. There's probably within 10 minutes of here, 10 of them.
Wow.
You drive down the road out here and you will drive past like 15. And it's like, and so it's nuts. Some of them are houses.
I guess slaying the dragon in World of Warcraft just doesn't have the same dopamine as.
I mean, if you're 60, you don't know how to do that.
That's one of those things where if you showed someone from the 1950s that, they would be like, that's the dystopian future. Like, we're all sitting around like trying to like hypothesize what that would look like. It would be that. They'd be like, oh, yeah, that's it. That's horrifying.
The only
it's over. It's over
the only
for you guys.
difference is they're not in they're not in the pod.
Right.
It while they're
in a
plugged
storage
in.
container in West Virginia.
It doesn't even seem
exactly
like
right.
it doesn't even seem like a fun form of degeneracy too.
None.
It's like,
No,
you
yeah.
think about people, back in the 50s or any time period, just like getting rowdy in a bar or something. It's like, all right, like you're with other people, you're having a good time, you're laughing, you're talking, but yeah, just sitting in front of a slot machine and drinking is, it's bleak. Yeah.
Imagine like back in the day, the old degenerate bar where there's like a stripper, some guys in suits, loud music. There's like a jazz band playing while like a woman shaking her ass. And then the dudes are playing high stakes 5-card draw. And then one guy's like, you're cheating. He slams a gun on the table and everyone's losing their mind. Now you walk in and it's just slot machines. Here's the best part. Some of these places, there's a stage that used to be where the stripper would be. And it's just people sitting at slot machines.
Yeah.
And it's funny because some of these clubs, it'll say like the name of the company. I don't want to call any specific place out, but it'll be like John's, and then it'll say the sign will be like this, and it'll be like blank club, because they slapped a big white piece of plastic over the word gentleman. They ain't even going to strip clubs anymore. They're just slot machines. And what's crazy is, I'm talking about West Virginia. I went home to Chicago for the holidays. They're everywhere.
Wow.
Every bar's got slot machines. I'm like, dude. And the argument they made is, you know what? I'm going to tell you guys, you open the door, you let the demons in. The argument was, it's just video lottery. They basically argued that this isn't gambling in the casino sense. We sell scratchers. This is the exact same thing, but it's digital. So now slot machines are just lottery locations.
I think part of the reason why people don't go to the strip clubs anymore, it's probably got something to do with the fact that 75% of America is overweight.
Well, like, what is the... I've never...
There's some correlation.
Yeah.
I think it's because Gen Z. There's two reasons. Gen
they're
Z
fat.
guys. Well, Gen Z guys are going to church.
Yeah.
They're not going to go to a strip club.
True.
And then Gen Z girls are fat. And nobody wants to see that.
That's right.
Right. It's just like...
And feminism tells them that, hey, look, just, go ahead and be your best self with
To be fair,
40
that
slices of pizza a day.
porn is free, so
yeah.
Right.
People are just staying inside. I think most forms of socialization have declined.
Yeah.
Like younger people are drinking less too. And yeah, maybe some faction of them are being a little more traditional, but I think a lot of them are just like sitting at home and just like on the
It's
computer.
like
or
I
something.
might if I go to the strip club, I might have to look the stripper in the eye.
Yeah, exactly. It's,
Like, yeah, I'm a bit of a traditional old
Social
school
anxiety.
kind of guy. I go to strip clubs, I drink, I do drugs. It's like, these are all very old school traditional
I wouldn't
American values.
advocate for any of that, but that is clearly better than some of like the new forms of degeneracy where you're just like, I mean, if you want to talk about the shooter and like the video games here.
Religious friends, I would rather hang out with dudes that go to strip clubs than dudes that think they're chicks.
Yeah.
So true.
I think most religious people would say neither is ideal, but they would agree with
they're like,
you.
look,
Yeah.
all right, let's
kind of have a point.
Let's bring it back to the political world. We got this from the post-millennial. AOC considers 2028 presidential run. Please.
I mean, look, I know there are a lot of people that give me hell about this, but she is a compelling politician. I would never vote for her. I don't support any of her ideas.
She can't win.
Right? I mean, maybe she won't, but I don't know that she wouldn't get a lot of support.
Let me clarify. She can win, but that's like also saying I can win the lottery. And I'm gonna tell you why. She is a woman.
No, I'm going to push back on that. It all depends on the economy. And I truly believe this. If the economy is in the tank when the next presidential election comes, the Republicans are in a world of hurt.
I don't think so.
I do.
I think we're in a totally different world. I think, especially with the assassination of Charlie Kirk, this is something changed in that moment where these liberals that are desperately trying to frame him, basically, It's crazy. Like I've had conversations with some people who I would consider to be not psychotic liberals, but still liberals. And I have to explain to them, Charlie never said black people don't have brain processing power.
Look,
That's made up.
I want you to be right. Like I want to think that there has been a change, that there are going to be fewer and fewer Democrats because of the malicious streak running through.
That's not what I'm saying.
What?
I'm saying that we're at the point where they're shooting and killing people, and the economy won't be as big as an issue as the IED that blew up in your marketplace.
As big as what?
The economy is not going to be the most pressing issue when an IED blows up in your marketplace.
Well, okay, so fair enough. Then that's a significantly different context. If there's actually
in a normal functioning America with political dispute, it's the economy, stupid.
Yes.
But when we are in the who was it who said this? When it might have been Milo. I don't know. When your nation tolerates assassinations, you're on the verge of collapse. Something like that. Or a nation that can tolerate political assassinations will not stand. And AOC just issued a letter. She sent out a letter to her supporters demonizing Charlie Kirk.
Oh, she did it from the floor of the Congress today. It was awful, disgusting.
And so when you're in a country where Charlie Kirk is, I'll put it like this. When Democrats are intentionally making up fake quotes that Charlie Kirk never said because they want him to be evil, they are saying, we don't care what you actually believe. We want you to die. So I will stress this. There is a video of Charlie Kirk that's going viral right now where he throws out a white identitarian from his event. He screams at him, get out of line, get out. You are not welcome here. And they're claiming he was a white supremacist when he literally argued against these people and threw them out of his events. A nation that has a political faction that says, we don't care what you actually believe. We will tell you what we want to convey. We will tell you what we say you believe. So where do you go? Now, you could literally come out and be like, no, I agree with you. And they're like, we don't care what you say. We're going to lie about what you said, and now you're dead. Because that's what they're doing to Charlie. Yeah. And so I feel like that there's I'll put it like this. When Charlie Kirk is the guy who actually says you are not welcome in our movement to white supremacists and racists, and then they come out and say, actually, he was exactly what he condemned. Okay, if they want to kill you, they'll make up whatever reason they want.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah.
And what does that mean for an election? So I think, certainly at the pace Trump is already at with 48 confirmations, his appointees getting confirmed in one swoop, which is crazy. I'm like, at this pace, with the terminations, the people losing their jobs, Trump ramming this thing through, announcing the Antifa terror stuff, I'm like, what, next week we're going to start getting arrests of Democrats? I mean, the pace is absolutely insane. I think that the temperature is extremely hot. We've already got these ICE protests. They are now justifying everything they've said about why people should die by making up fake quotes about Charlie Kirk. They're claiming Trump is literally Hitler. It is insane, the lies they're posting about Jimmy Kimmel. There's no off-ramp. And so I fear in the next year, attacks are going to increase. The economy is not going to be the issue for most people. Now, I can only say this. I am not your average person. And so, maybe the death threats get to me. I don't know, maybe. But I have a security team, and the assessment we've made going through what they're telling me, looking at the current available information is, right now, the threat could not be higher. The risk of terror and political violence could not be higher. The pot has boiled over. And so the advice to us is stop and wait. These public events don't do it. These public events like that I'm hosting and also being a part of, just don't do it. Don't go out. And we've got to have 3 people with us when we go out. That's from what we are seeing online. They're not just saying, we heard in the news this happened, so we're going to advise this. They're saying, we've been reading social media. We've been looking at the chats of these groups. We've been doing security and intel analyses on Antifa and these far left groups. And they're like, yeah, someone's going to make an attack soon. And I'm sure Trump knows this. And I think there's a reason why he put up that tweet about Antifa or that Truth Social post. I don't think it was just arbitrary. One day he's like, I'm bored. I'm gonna make a news cycle. I think they were like, we have to make a move now, especially after the Charlie Kirk thing.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, I think we're seeing something play out now that's similar to what happened in kind of the late 60s and the early 70s, where when, liberals got some victories, they got the Civil Rights Act and so forth, but the far left radicals wanted something far more extreme. They wanted like a communist revolution. And when that didn't come, they started to, eventually you got Nixon, they started to get very disheartened and, they're very desperate, basically. So, the Weathermen became the Weather Underground. A lot of these groups went underground and they turned to terrorism. And, you had thousands of bombings. It was insane, attacks on cops. And I don't think
they won.
Pardon me?
And they won.
Yeah, in a sense, it kind of, some of these people ended up becoming college professors and,
and mentoring presidents.
Yeah, exactly. So, they didn't get the full communist revolution, but they played a part in accelerating it. Absolutely. Yep. And I think what we're seeing now is the resistance to Trump that existed after he won the first time. It's kind of, it kind of evaporated, right? A lot of people, even liberals, remarked that, the resistance after 2024 wasn't there. You didn't have big companies and liberal groups, really opposing it. So what do you have now? You have a lot of mentally ill people who have been told that, anything other than extreme gay race communism is fascism, which is not the case.
Yep.
And therefore, basically they think they're actually living under fascism. So what you're going to have now is less of mass organized resistance and more kind of lone wolf terrorism like we saw unfortunately, that claimed Charlie Kirk's life. And so I absolutely think, unfortunately, there's going to be more stuff like that. It's not going to be the black bloc in the streets, riots, fighting with Trump supporters. It's going to be, lone wolves, small, potentially terror cells taking people out.
And I think there's the potential for it to escalate. But I do think right now, based on the current set of factors before us, not counting for variables that move as we move forward in the future, we are looking at a high probability of a right-wing authoritarian form of government for the next decade plus. Could theoretically be longer. And there's a lot of factors that predict this. One, for those that think we're tracking alongside Rome, some people have thought maybe we're entering the American Empire period where you get an authoritarian state. There's a lot of similarities, but I think people cherry pick the Roman Empire and the Roman Republic to determine, it's a lot of these things happen hundreds of years apart from each other.
Sure.
And everyone's like, but look, this happened, then this, look what's happening in America, Rome, and look what happened then, Rome. And I'm like, yeah, those two things you're highlighting as things from Rome is Rome in 100 AD and Rome in 500 is very far apart. But I think with the far left attack, with Donald Trump, winning a popular vote, people largely being on his side, the messages that I'm seeing from normies based on Charlie Kirk, and there are posts from people who were liberal a year ago that I follow, people in various industries that I'm a fan of or follow, and they're cheering on Charlie Kirk. It is wild. It is. I'll tell you this: pro skateboarders who've never uttered a political word posting online videos saying Charlie Kirk was a great man. And I'm like, I did not know that guy was even a Christian.
Yeah.
But this really made them come forward. The left is going to feel very, very desperate. I think Trump is going to do a hard crackdown on these NGOs, and they will react violently. Trump will then respond with the security apparatus.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Well, I don't know that I agree that there's going to be a significant authoritarian push. I do think that the left is going to behave as if there is one, and I think we're seeing it. Now
that necessitates an expansion of the security state.
Do you think Trump has the stomach to do that?
Yep.
I'm not so sure.
He deployed the Marines into California.
Yeah, he certainly has the mandate.
He deployed the Marines into California, but he deployed them only in support of the existing law enforcement. So I'm not sure. I just don't know that. I don't know that that's what Trump wants to do. And I'm not saying that a future president wouldn't, or it wouldn't be necessary. I just don't know if I don't know if Donald Trump's the guy.
Well, there's massive expansions of DHS and ICE, and
it all comes down to what you consider right-wing authoritarianism. I think Trump is definitely, even now more than before Charlie Kirk's murder, definitely convinced that he needs to do more in terms of law enforcement, going after Antifa, just cracking down in general. So for some, that will qualify as authoritarianism. For others, it's just law and order.
Yeah, look, I'm on the record saying that I think that Antifa should be considered a terrorist organization.
Sure. Yeah.
Let's clarify this. So I was asked earlier by some of the homies, what does that mean? And I'm like, if Trump does enact sweeping security powers, none of us would notice.
Yeah.
You'll go to Chicago, and there will be some National Guard on the various street corners. You'll have no hassle, no problems, no trouble. You will see less shootings. Crime will be way better. Your worst case scenario is you're walking down the street and they say, hey, how's it going there, sir? You show me your ID for a minute. And you'd be like, oh, yeah, here you go. And they'll be like, all right, where you headed? And you'll be like, I'm going to Maxwell Street, get a Polish sausage. They'll be like, have a good day, sir. That's the worst case scenario for the average person. There is going to be concerns and infringement possibility. The issue is the government corrupt or not? And the deployment of National Guard and military to stop acts of terror, far-left violence, or crime does not mean your rights will be infringed upon as a normal working-class person. I still think it is particularly worrying if we get to that point. And I have said, I think Trump should deploy the National Guard over the crime. It is a very scary thing that we're at that point.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, yeah, the left only has themselves to blame for just permitting this open, I would say, oppression of their citizens in the cities. I mean, this has been 60 years now of complete inaction on crime. So now that an administration has come in and the Americans who have been forced out into the suburbs are saying, hey, it'd be really nice if I could go downtown and have dinner without getting shot at. Trump has the mandate now to do this. And so they only really have themselves to blame for not acting.
I got to be honest, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to clap and cheer for it. And for good reason.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I've talked about where I grew up, and I've asked my friends about it. Which would you prefer? The gangbangers running around shooting people and mugging people, or National Guard? And they just laugh.
Yeah.
And they're like, why would anyone care the National Guard was there? Like, literally, no one would bat an eye.
Yeah.
They don't. We've seen National Guard out in various instances, and you don't even talk to them.
Yeah.
Instead, do we have to deal with this? So there's going to be a lot of high crime areas where they're going to be like, thank you, Mr. President.
Sure. Oh, that's what my hometown of Memphis is. I mean, like 80%.
Oh, yeah.
80% of the city is off limits, especially if you're like a white guy. You're cooked. So it's like,
Oh, Trump's going in.
yes, and he's finally going in, and it's wonderful. And I'm sitting here like, I think even people that know people in jail aren't even going to be disturbed by this. Like, oh, I can go for a walk now, and I won't get shot at. This is fantastic.
It's wild that we got to this point.
Yeah.
It's very similar to what happened in El Salvador. I mean, the steps that Bukele took to restore order to the streets of San Salvador and obviously the rest of the country were pretty. I don't want to say severe, but yeah, pretty harsh. And yeah, people are. I was there for the first time, kind of late August, and yeah, people were happy though. There are some people down there that have concerns about, dictator. Some Uber drivers saying that, but the average person is like, even if they have concerns, is like, it is undeniably better. Like you couldn't walk down the street before.
I met a guy in D.C. who said he was moving back. He was from El Salvador.
there's a lot
He was
of
a
that.
young man.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
Remigration.
I was talking and I was I forgot how it came up, but I asked him where he was from. He was like El Salvador, and I was like, "How is it down there? I've been hearing good things." And he goes, "Actually, I'm moving back." He's like, "My family, my parents want to go back too." And then I was like, "No way." He's like, "Oh yeah, it's really nice now. In fact, people are getting rich because the property values are starting to skyrocket.
Yeah.
A lot of foreigners want to move there. Bitcoin Beach, good luck. So these beach properties that were a couple $100,000, in US,
Yeah.
are skyrocketing in value because it's safe.
Yeah.
And you've got tech industry building up there. I mean, Bukele has revolutionized that country. It's amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's a small country too. So you're talking about property prices. So there's only so much of it. And when I was down there, you mentioned the people moving back, the Salvadoran immigrants. Apparently there's some sort of problems with that where, they're coming back and they've got a lot of money and they're, buying up property too. And it's kind of a chaotic situation, but it's like undeniably better than how it was before. So in an ideal situation, you don't have to adopt those harsh measures to have like a safe, prosperous society.
Right.
But once you get to the point where crime and disorder have eaten away at the social fabric so much, it's really, do you let your country die and be a hellhole, or do you do whatever is necessary to get there?
Let's be real. I mean, from the outside looking at El Salvador, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I have friends who have moved down there. They say it's fantastic. Would we not want that same kind of reform for the United States? Mm-hmm. But think about what that means.
It's extremely popular in El Salvador.
He went and rounded up all the gangs. There's, there's stories of people. It's like you get a gang tattoo. They just arrested you on the spot, and you're going to jail. We're done.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do we want to live that way? I think there's concerns and challenges in what overreach could look like. But if we went half the speed of El Salvador to ensure that we protected rights, but moved in that direction, it'd be a good thing.
Yeah, it's just stuff like having the proper sentencing, having attorneys and DAs and judges that are willing to actually ensure that people serve the time that they're due. I don't think it would take anything extreme in America. There'd be a lot of opposition from the left, of course, but I do think the average American would like it.
I think I would push back on that because I think that the problem that you're outlining, that you're pointing at the DAs and the judges, that's the biggest problem.
Yeah.
It's not whether or not we have laws sufficient to put people in jail for committing crimes. Yeah. We absolutely do. It's that we have an infestation of leftists in the judicial departments of these of different states and cities and stuff. So how do you get people that want to have soft on crime policies, that believe in things like crazy bullshit like restorative justice? How do you get them out of those positions when a lot of times would DAs have to be elected? Yes, but there are foreign entities that are dumping tons of money into these DA races, and then you got judges who generally are appointed for life, frequently, not all the time. There's some where there are elections and stuff, but judges that are appointed for life that have these, soft on crime policies, these restorative justice policies, where they're just like, well, if you are of a certain persuasion, if you're not a white person, we're going to go ahead and allow you to have a light sentence, a short sentence, let you go ahead and go free on your own recognizance, just promise you'll come back, or blah, 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 which always ends with terrible results. Not every individual, of course, but enough where it's generally and it's enough where you can say these policies produce more crime and they are a danger to the population. And you can see it on the subway in North Carolina, that poor girl that got stabbed. That guy should have been in jail, but they just kept letting him out and letting him out. And it turns into dead people.
Isn't that funny that Democrats are like, we need gun control laws, and then when they arrest a guy with an illegal gun, they say you're free to go?
Insane.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was like, there's all these laws, and I'm in total agreement. Like our justice system, the people carrying out justice, there's Soros opponent DAs, et cetera, et cetera. Like we're all on the same page. But it's like, when you see that situation in Charlotte with Arena, it's like, I mean, no matter what laws you have passed, it's not going to stop that from happening.
Breaking news, I guess. This is from NBC News. Shots fired at ABC affiliate in Sacramento. Yo, let's... Where's the audio at? Let's go.
Of Sacramento, police there say the ABC building has been hit by gunfire. Nobody injured, but there you can see bullet holes in the glass just coming in the last few minutes. We can also tell you that, in fact, this is coming just after the Jimmy Kimmel decision to release.
I didn't realize people like Jimmy Kimmel that much.
Or at least suspend him from this evening show. Let's go out to our NBC's Andrew Blankstein.
To be fair, the last few people, the holdouts, must really love him.
One of our investigative producers who's joining us now on the phone. Andrew, nobody knows this better than you. What's happening in that area?
Good afternoon, Tom. Well, at this point, just after 1:30 today, officers respond to reports of shots fired in the 400 block of Broadway in Sacramento, where the ABC affiliate is located. They observed the building had been hit by gunfire, no injuries. And at this point, at least, and this is very preliminary at this point, they can't say for sure whether this was targeted or random. But given the timing that you just referred to, that's going to be part of the investigation. As far as any additional resources or agencies, not responding at the moment, but if there's changes in that, look to see if that broadens this investigation. And again, if it would be in any way related to Jimmy Kimmel.
And you could imagine the motivations, if it is related to Jimmy Kimmel, it could be directed at ABC for at least suspending the show, or it could be directed at ABC and Kimmel because of what Kimmel said.
Well, and
I doubt.
That's right. It could be, at this point, it's so preliminary that they don't even have a suspect description. Obviously, they're going to be canvassing and looking for any cameras if there's anything in and around that location, but also the city, to try to track down, get a license plate or a witness. And at this point, this is the thing. The timing is pretty glaring, but when I asked them directly if they thought it was related, they said it's just too early to say anything about that. It's going to be part of their investigation.
I'm going to say I do not see a reality where an ABC affiliate the affiliates were responsible for Kimmel getting pulled off the air, got shot at right after Kimmel got pulled off the air, and they're like, coincidence. I mean, it's possible, I guess, but come on. What reasonable person is going to draw that conclusion? So I will say this. As I often say, the truth does not matter to partisans. People who see this are going to interpret it how they want. And I assure you, liberals are going to go, they're shooting at us now. They're going to say, ABC, that's where Kimmel worked. And it's Trump supporters shooting at ABC. And that makes no sense, to be honest. So I know the right is going to say, this is somebody angry at ABC for pulling Kimmel. Because they're saying Trump's a fascist. And maybe it's nothing. Maybe it was a guy who thought ABC was the liquor store, but he didn't realize he was not in Virginia. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm going to, preface this by saying, thankfully, it seems like there were no injuries. No one was shot. But I tend to think that it's unlikely that it was a Trump supporter.
Sure.
There's not really a whole lot of reason for a Trump supporter to be like, oh, I'm just going to randomly shoot at this ABC station, especially when ostensibly the conservatives are, pressing the advantage. Conservatives and people, they're conservatives and people that would be considered Trump supporters. They're in a position where you can kind of say, look, things are we generally have the opinion of the American people on our side. Trump's up 10 points today from Rasmussen.
It's true.
Huge bump.
The one question, though, for those of us on X is, how can we blame this on Israel?
Well, you just do it. I feel like you just kind of YOLO into it.
Just
Leroy Jenkins, it was the Jews.
You don't really have to think too hard about it, because there are plenty of people who will totally endorse it, right off the bat. And a lot of them live in Pakistan and Bangladesh, but
the Jews say it like that. And they're just like,
Then let's try the other one, Civil War.
I mean, like I said, I think. Look, I'm a partisan, so I think it's the left,
This is civil. I agree, though. It makes no sense why the right would be like, yay, we won. Now go shoot at ABC. That makes no sense. And the left is angry, saying, ABC, we're boycotting you. We're angry with you. But either way, this is what civil strife looks like.
Yeah.
So this is like bleeding Kansas. And hold on, guys. We don't know the motive here. We don't know what happened. For all we know, it could be a jilted lover, and his wife was a PA or something. And he's like, you cheated on me. We have no idea. But bleeding Kansas, civil strife looks like you turn on the news and you're getting crazy stories like this. Mm-hmm. And so, man, we just had an assassination. You know what I mean? Again, we don't know what the motive is. But I'm saying this is 2 days ago.
Just speculation.
Sitting with my security team, and they're like going over the intelligence, and they're saying, based on our assessment, here's what we're seeing on social media chatter. Here's what the forums are saying. Here's what the direct threats we're seeing to you. They're like, the likelihood of an attack, not just on you, but anywhere, is very, very high. Then the Kimmel thing happens, and shots fired an ABC affiliate. Maybe unrelated. We're not sure. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, we're just getting a higher and higher proportion of the population that has nothing to lose. And I think that's a huge problem. So you're going to see more and more of this.
This is why I'm glad I have a Cybertruck, because it can it can withstand lower caliber handgun rounds.
Yeah, and it's also the windows will withstand rocks and such.
Oh, right. Yes, the bulletproof windows. I think you could. We didn't get those.
No.
I mean, we did. They are. Don't try. No, I shouldn't say that, because you ever see Unbreakable?
Yeah.
The kid thinks the dad's invincible, so he's going to shoot him, and he's like, "I'm not invincible," and but my understanding is the bulletproof windows can't roll down in the armored Cybertruck or whatever. Mm-hmm. Maybe I need to get one of those.
I mean,
I got a regular Cybertruck.
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah, Alex Jones has that APC thing. You ever see that?
I haven't seen Jones.
Does he drive it around like going to the grocery store?
I don't know about that.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
I got to. We were. I thought, like, I think when I was there this a few years ago, we were going to drive it around, but we ended up not. We went inside it, and he showed me around, and it's a monster truck. He's you can find it. You can Google it and like watch the videos.
I think I've seen him driving around in it like for activism or something. Yeah. I didn't know he's like going to the grocery store. And whatever.
I don't think that
he lives in Texas though, so if there's any place to drive that thing around,
no one will bat an eye
your day. Yeah.
Yeah, there should be like I'm just gonna go under it, just speed up to go past it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just rely on the fact that my car's really fast.
Man, this is crazy. I'm gonna see if I can find any more.
And I'm not one to talk smack about Jones. I carry a bulletproof vest in my car, so.
Oh, there is an update. They said that a white guy in a black hood with a Kamala Harris hat yelled, "This is Biden country." Yeah, there's no updates.
Dang.
Just that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this is kind of, par for the course nowadays, apparently. I don't see how things are going to cool off when you've got, congressional leaders or members of Congress on the floor of Congress talking about how the person that was just murdered for sharing their opinions and for engaging in polite political discourse. And he was always polite with the people that came up. He was always incredibly friendly, and he would prevent people that were bystanders from heckling people. When you've got a member of Congress talking about how racist he was, how horrible of a person he was, this is something that is ubiquitous on the left now. I don't see how. I mean, I would love to see an off ramp, but I still don't see one.
We're hearing now it may have been celebratory gunfire. That the people of Sacramento were just celebrating when they opened fire. And,
Like, thank goodness
So we can't-
Jimmy Kimmel's off the air. We don't have to watch him anymore.
yeah,
Yeehaw.
people are they're getting ragged on for this, but it is pretty scary. I mean, I will say it, my friends. We don't know exactly what the reason is. There was a congressional staffer who was set on fire and said, "I didn't want to die," and
Yeah.
they said it was an accident. And I was just like, okay, that seems weird. How do you accidentally go outside and set yourself on fire? I guess it could happen, like you're trying to burn trash illegally or something.
Consumers, we don't know our way around cigarettes. These things happen.
And you like spilled gasoline on you?
Yeah, I guess.
Gasoline would put a cigarette out, I'm pretty sure. I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't play with fire, ladies and gentlemen.
So true.
But these stories, man, this is scary.
You need to restore order.
I tend to agree.
One more grain of sand in the heat.
Co-signed.
Trump's gonna be like, we can't live this way. We can't.
You can't. It's real.
I'm wondering. I think next week Trump might go ham.
He just needs to reuse some of the old tweets that he has. He had some really good applications of his old tweets that, would probably get him in a lot of trouble now. But he knows what to do.
Some people are
Trust in the
tweeting
plan.
that it was a leftist, but I don't see any. I'm trying to. This was a couple hours ago. The story broke actually, so 6:40. I'm gonna try and see if I can find any more updates on this, or if anybody knows.
Yeah, I mean, I would like some kind of, some more information. I don't imagine that there's someone out there that was actually wearing a Biden-Harris shirt that was like, I'm the one that did it. But it is a situation where this kind of stuff is going to likely escalate. This is going to continue, particularly with the rhetoric that you're hearing from the left. Again, like they're the leaders of the Democrat Party pretty ubiquitously had the right initial response, but then the more progressive people within a day or two were pointing out, oh, but he was so terrible and he said all these horrible things, and they're repeating lies, or they're repeating selectively selectively edited videos, or stuff out of context and stuff for no other reason than to say it's actually okay. You don't point out, you don't sit there and say, oh, Charlie Kirk was a bad person and he had all these bad opinions, unless the point of saying that is to say, so it's actually kind of okay that he was murdered.
Yeah,
it's a
literally.
tacit endorsement.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it before on the show, is like they set up this pincer movement a while ago where they were like, it's okay to punch a Nazi or whatever. And everyone's like, okay, yeah, I don't know, maybe. And then they're like, yeah, but you're also a Nazi.
Yep.
So now we have to so they justified political violence a long time ago.
Yep.
And then now the tactic has just been advancing the goalpost on what or moving the goalpost on what a Nazi is. And then now just being a conservative, a patriot, is now beyond the pale for them, and they can justify. So even though they're coming out with this lip service where they're giving this condemnation, saying, oh, there's no place for political violence, they add a bunch of modifiers on there to ensure that they still have a justification in case they do want to go after you. They don't want to concede that line of like, you're still a terrible person and deserve to die. I just, for whatever reason, my PR lady said I have to condemn this. So I'm going to condemn this.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think the smarter Democrats recognize that, especially when you're not in power, that your own side doing political violence gives the other side a pretext to crack down, which is exactly what's happening. And it's why, me and other smart right-wingers have for decades been saying that right-wing political violence is absolutely not the right way forward. So
Yeah.
Okay, we got breaking news. Newsmax, report of a bomb threat at RFK Jr.'s Georgetown home. This is breaking as of 8 o'clock. I mean, it's pretty wild because we do pre-production and these it's hard to find all the stories.
And things start blowing up and, shots are fired. And
K-9 units deployed. The home and surrounding areas have been searched and cleared. Officials say that as of now, no explosive device has been found. The scene remains active while the investigation continues. Wow, this is RFK Jr.'s house. Far be it for me to be like, hey, look, this proves that I was right, but this is what I was saying Civil War in the modern era would look like. We are going to see a bunch of stories like bomb threats, shootings, red alerts, false alarms. I would say this is definitely like a Bleeding Kansas thing. I'm not saying we're in Civil War. I'm saying this is definitely Bleeding Kansas level violence. The only thing is, as we had a super chatter make the great point, they didn't have instant data transmission back in 1860s.
Yep.
So this stuff took months to progress. I mean, if you were trying to get a surrender, you wouldn't know until the postal carrier could deliver the letter and you'd actually get a response. Now it's all in real time. And people can react to the shooting at ABC in real time with acts of craziness on the other side of the country. So this is nuts. Holy crap, man.
Yeah, bomb threats, shooting at television stations.
Stuff that would have been front
Assassination.
page.
I mean, look, it's been a week.
Yeah.
And we've got congressional staffer dies being set on fire somehow. They say it's no foul play. I want to make sure that's clear. Bomb threat at RFK Jr.'s house, shooting at an ABC station.
Yeah, and this stuff would have been front page news 5 years ago. Now it's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's kind of the moment we're in.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Not to mention, there's the lower tier stuff. All the people getting fired from their jobs for dancing on Charlie's grave, the celebration of the assassination. This has been one insane escalatory week.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Mm-hmm. It's
Well, liberals finally became free speech advocates. It took quite a bit happening to get them to that point. But when it came to our right to criticize various policies like Black Lives Matter riots and COVID stuff, they weren't supportive of our free speech then. But when it came to people saying that you shouldn't cheer on and encourage more political assassinations of normal law-abiding citizens, then they became free speech, absolutists, so to speak. It's totally ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, to chime in and say, "Oh, you don't like cancel culture now? You're a hypocrite." Mm-hmm. When they were literally canceling people for using the wrong pronouns,
right?
Just a couple
basic
years.
Conservative beliefs. We're not. No one's getting canceled for being like a basic liberal. They're getting canceled for literally saying that this innocent guy deserved to have his neck explode on TV.
Who was the race car driver that got canceled because his dad said the N-word?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't hear about that one, but
they dug into the past so much that there was a dude's father who said the N-word in the 80s, and they canceled him for it.
Mike Cernovich has a great tweet. He said, if we're not careful, all of our conservative and right-wing friends are going to lose their late-night shows, their network news anchor positions, professorships, and roles as Hollywood actors. Their films might not get reviewed by the New York Times. Peril indeed. Point well taken, Mike.
Yeah, it's unreal. It's unreal. The idea that that the right is a hypocrite. And I saw a clip from Gavin McInnes about this today, and he was like, "Yeah, we are hypocrites. Humans are hypocrites generally, but now." We wanted to be the free speech people. We wanted that, and you canceled everybody. You canceled us. Blah blah blah. And again, coming from McInnes, that's pretty poignant because he got canceled for literally nothing. Like he had done nothing. He just said things that were a little outside of what were politically correct, and he got booted from X for 7 years or whatever. And he was like, F you, this is war. We're going to cancel you. We're going to do everything we can to hurt you. We are hypocrites. We're comfortable with that. You made it this way. Welcome to what you created.
Yeah, well, Mike Tyson, he said everyone's got a plan, so they get punched in the teeth. It's the same thing. It's like, look, every conservative's principled until you start shooting at us.
Yeah.
Sorry about it.
And if you wanted principle, you could have just said, you know what, we'll just pull back on the canceling. We'll try to have cooler heads prevail. All of our leaders will actually police our members, the members of the Democrat Party, the left, and that would have filtered through to most of the Democrats. But they didn't do that. They engaged in the heated rhetoric. In fact, they engaged in far more heated rhetoric than anyone on the right did. The left has moved so far to the left that the right saying the most anodyne and mundane conservative values they called hate speech. So they changed the rules. And then when the conservatives said, well, we're not going to change our rules, these are things that we actually believe in.
Right.
They said, well, then that justifies us hating you. That justifies us ending your careers. That justifies us doing whatever we want to harm your family. That justifies us up to and including murdering you. And then they're like, but what about free speech?
Right.
F you. F you. Unreal.
Real.
But I mean, I don't.
Also, the government, Trump's not legally preventing people from cheering on Charlie Kirk's death. Maybe he's got that in the cards, so I'll have to walk this back a bit. But yeah, no, it's literally. I do think that a lot of normal people view like cheering on a gruesome assassination is like a pretty crazy thing.
Yeah.
And if like every liberal thought that was okay to do, these people wouldn't be getting canceled because for all of the ground that the right has gained in recent years, most institutions are still like, especially like in cities and stuff, are still like pretty left wing. But yeah, these people, it really took them cheering on, the murder of an innocent person in order for them to start suffering social consequences for their views. Whereas I always think back to the police officer who, the Give, Send, Go or the GoFundMe for Kyle Rittenhouse's legal defense got hacked and all of the names released. This guy lost his job for donating like $20.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, the bar has been extremely low for getting canceled as a conservative. And now the other side is crying about cancel culture because they're just extreme like pro-assassination freaks at this point.
Literally.
It's like that's literally it's happening.
What are the words of that one song? It's times like these that I'm glad I live in a large acre property with a security perimeter and armed guards.
Good song.
Yeah, I love
Classic.
Like, 90s,
Classic,
I think.
yeah.
Yeah,
Garth
2000s,
Brooks,
I
maybe,
think.
yeah.
Foo Fighters.
Fighters.
It's times like these I'm glad I live on a property with armed guards and security perimeters. That's how it goes.
No, we had a guest on the show Monday, Slow Jack, and he was like, yeah, like celebrating a death at a McDonald's would have gotten you fired from McDonald's. Like, it's just because this has become a wedge issue that they're calling it cancel culture. He's like, that's always been the case. You always get fired from your job for like celebrating someone getting shot.
And
saying
more importantly,
things like that should happen.
cancel culture was always when people were fired for things that were not objectionable.
Right.
Something they did 10 years ago, something their dad did, or an off-color joke. And I think the first instance of this was that woman on the plane when she said something like, flying to South Africa, I hope I don't get AIDS. Just kidding, I'm white. And she was making that joke as a liberal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she was on the plane with no internet, and the whole internet blew up being destroy her.
Her life was over by the time she landed.
What year was that? Like roughly
2012 or something.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say because liberals, I feel bad for Zoomers. They don't know what it was like. But back in like the late 2000s, early 2010s, like every liberal I knew was saying stuff like that. It was just like, edgy humor, whatever.
And she tried explaining. She was like, no, I was pointing out that the people who suffer under AIDS are the black people and the white people are getting special treatment. And they were like, the companies were like, we don't care. A hate mob is a hate mob regardless of ideology, and they've decided to hate you. Mm-hmm. So she shouldn't have lost her job over that. That's stupid. No one should have actually cared at all. It's weird that some random woman went viral. This was cancel culture when they were like, you have an opinion we don't like, you're fired. And it's like, bro, I supported Trump. It's like you said something like, I think Trump's right about immigration. Maybe you're fired. Now it's like a dude got shot and killed, and you're posting videos dancing and celebrating, saying, who's next? And they're like, I don't think someone who has violent tendencies and murderous rage should work at this company. And they're like, that's cancel culture. Well, I think our employees, our customers are a little freaked out by you calling for death, and they don't want to shop here, so we're going to ask you to leave. Or what Jimmy Kimmel did.
Just say something that offends people and get booted. I mean,
just suck at your job.
These people censored they censored the president too, as they're crying about cracking down on free Jimmy Kimmel's free speech. Like, you censored the president.
Yeah,
get out of here.
Yeah.
Booted him off of Facebook, Twitter.
You got booted from Pinterest.
Yeah, he was booted off of everything, and he was the president.
They say,
And they're
but
just
that wasn't like the government doing that. And then you find out about, maybe not in that specific case, although it probably was. I mean, after J6, the deep state just kind of like took over the administration. But I mean, you know, in the recent years, we've learned the extent to which the government's been involved in censoring the private sector. And, you know, it's the idea that it's just like these are just free companies doing what they want. It's, you know, in some cases, yes. But no, the Biden administration and even before that, you know, the deep state has been using and Mike Benz has done great work on this. Just every aspect of the government they can to crack down on free speech. So, yeah, I mean, it's crazy to still see people say like, well, careful, if you're doing this, the left might do it. It's like,
right.
You should have been saying that to them before, because now like it's inverted. Like, yeah, now we're not doing what they did, just to be clear, but we are, cracking down. We're kind of asserting power, but it's in a far fairer and like more justified way than anything that they did.
Yeah, like they were like impeaching the president, like trying to throw him in jail, and none of them ever said, "What if the right does this to us?"
Yeah,
it's like A, they know we won't. Like
they're like, we'll just elect a dead guy.
But then B, yeah, because they're not stupid. They would never say that because they're trying to win. Like they're just trying to win. They want it more than we do, evidently.
Well, they had power for so long, and they were so arrogant that they thought that they could literally just do anything. I always think back to this Matt Iglesias tweet. It was like maybe a week, you know the one I'm talking about. It was maybe a week or so after Trump was deplatformed.
So good.
And he said, wow, it's kind of crazy that we just deplatformed Trump and nothing happened.
There was no downside whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly.
No discernible downside.
Yeah. Well, flash forward to 2024 and it's like, all right, dude, maybe rethink.
Well, we were talking about this the other day with Mary. And I was saying, she was basically saying, like, we need to go against these people. We need to use whatever force we can, like censorship, whatever. I don't want to put words in her mouth. I'll just say my point was, when the right was on the receiving end of all of this, none of it worked. They silenced people, but it didn't stop their mission. They smeared people. They accused them of mis and disinformation. They tried to dominate the culture and failed. And right now we are winning. That same strategy will not work on the left. You're not going to ban them into oblivion. It's not going to happen. So I don't know what you do to stop deranged psychopaths like Jimmy Kimmel who go on TV and lie and say the shooter was a MAGA guy.
Yeah.
And you know what's really my favorite one? Seeing these liberals post. The difference between Roseanne and Jimmy Kimmel is that Roseanne wasn't fired because the president tried to get her fired. Or the thing about Jimmy Kimmel is that it went against their own business interests because the president pressured them. And it's just like, these are the lies they're spreading. Trump did not get Jimmy Kimmel fired. Brendan Carr played a small role with his statement, which was worrisome. But advertisers, unrelated to affiliates or the FCC, had complained as well. And when Jimmy Kimmel was talking with the executives, he said he was going to double down. This is an entirely different scenario where with Roseanne, she made a joke. Liberals lobbied to get her fired from her job. And then I believe Roseanne said Obama and Michelle called ABC and lobbied for her dismissal. So they live in an inverted reality. It's just nuts. Or at the bare minimum, let's just do this. Let's say Roseanne and Kimmel are identical in every single way. They cheered for Roseanne getting fired. So why should they be upset now when they got the world that they wanted?
Right.
They're saying that the right, they're hypocrites for now being in favor of getting people fired from their jobs. And I'm like, no, there's a difference. There's the 8 years of please stop getting people fired from their jobs and liberals saying no. Then finally the right saying, fine, we will stop you, taking power and stopping them, versus the hypocrisy of it's a good thing to ban people. And then when it happens to them, they say, oh no, our free speech. The left are hypocrites. The right are just trying to win because the left started a fight. We're going to go to your chats and Rumble rants, my friends. So smash the like button, share the show with everyone, literally everyone. And let's see what you got. Join our Discord server at timcast.com. Join Rumble Premium, of course. We got TJ Sherrod says, just had septum sinus surgery yesterday to fix my breathing. Watching with my amazing girlfriend caretaker, who has been a gift from God. Kimmel getting canned is a better gift than my new breathing. Right on. Oh, what is this? Joshua David says, with the end of H1B, do you think we will see a change in wages across the board? Yep. Okay.
I don't have any idea as to if they're actually gonna.
Maybe in certain industries. I think maybe over time though that you're gonna it might take a little bit. Definitely not gonna be
like
instantaneous. Yeah.
Be a long matriculation process. I mean, because eventually, with the boomers dying off, it'd be these specialty fields. They're just gonna have to train these young guys, and there's gonna be a huge demand for talent.
Yeah, I think in tech, entry level tech stuff, I would imagine there are more jobs and they're going to be higher paid.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys saw, I tweeted this. I also posted on Instagram. It's my political compass test. It's actually funny. I moved left. I did. And I'm a social libertarian.
Phil shaking his head. Yeah.
But this is what's funny is that I pointed out in the video that I did where I took the test, left and right has nothing to do with this. In the modern era, left basically means pro-trans. And for real, because you can be critical of communist economic theory, and the left will be like, okay. But if you come out and you're like, gender ideology is weird, they'll say you're a right wing, you're far right, and they'll kick you out. And so I took the test, and it plotted me on the left libertarian spectrum, which is typically where I fall. And Terrible has a question about this. He says, Tim, earlier you disagreed with the question about needing religion to be moral. Wouldn't growing up in a Judaic Christian country shape one's morals, but not religious be similar as cut flower politics, but not religious be similar? I don't know what you mean by that. I will just explain my point. The question was something like, do you need religion to be moral? And the answer is an individual does not. I forgot how the question was actually framed, and I pointed out that these questions are framed to make you appear leftist. So when you take the political compass test, there's a lot of absolutes that you can't answer, and so you must be a leftist. That's kind of how it plays. So the idea that an individual must be religious to be moral is just not correct, because you can have derivative religious foundations, and so the individual themselves doesn't have any religious foundation. Bill Maher, for instance, is a largely moral person. However, he does not have a underlying himself religious understanding. He's learned to a certain degree on these things, but he couldn't tell you what a theologian or actually your common practicing Christian could. He doesn't know much about the background. As I said, I agree with Ben Shapiro that he was born morally on third base, but the individual himself does not practice a religion. That was the point of the question, in my view. Do you need to practice a religion to be moral? And the answer is no. But I do believe that our morals here in this country are rooted in Christian values. Yeah. That's the problem with these questions. It asked, one of the questions was, should abortion where the life of the mother is not in jeopardy, I said abortions where the life of the mother is not in jeopardy should always be illegal, or it was an absolute. And I was like, well, if my option is to be absolute no matter what the circumstance, considering we haven't even assessed the circumstance, I can't say yes to that. There are certain circumstances where abortion should be legal when the life of the mother is not in jeopardy. And I know it's potentially rare. Let's say it's one in 100 million. The point is, I can't advocate for an absolute in that regard. We haven't assessed the goals or the probabilities. So either way, I'm largely traditional, pro-choice, old school, but Democrats have largely lost their mind. They just, the left is a cult. I'll put it like that. Basically, the point of the video was, what defines left or right is whether you believe the truth or the lie. If you live in the cult reality of fake news like Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert, you will be on the left. If you know the truth, even if you have left liberal perspective, you are right wing. So here I am. I can answer every question which justifies why I lean left, and they'll call me far right.
Yeah, I mean, you look at someone like, so I think you brought it up last night real quick or whatever, or mentioned it. Shuan had put out a new video talking about the shooting of Charlie Kirk, and she was basically just kind of venting about how appalled she is at the behavior of the left. And she has pretty left-leaning economic views, like she believes in a social safety net. She thinks that Bernie Sanders has economic views that are right on point. Like she's thinks that there's too many billionaires, or that billionaires should pay higher taxes or what have you. But when you are presented with the modern left, the way that they look at social questions, and you see that they literally act like they're evil, right? They're laughing at someone's death.
Right.
A person they have no reason to hate this person other than they have a different opinion, right? They believe that you can't become a woman if you're a man, and they believe that you shouldn't have abortions because they believe that's killing a human. Like, if those things, if you say, well, that makes you an evil person, and then you have to lie about them, it's shocking to a lot of people. And I think that goes to Tim's point about how the people on the right are more in touch with reality than people on the left are.
Joshua David says, rest with Jesus, Charlie. Be seeing you then, bro. Right on.
So true.
Fins Up says, yes, I said this. Wife and I took a trip to Europe, and the amount of tourists I saw was insane. Way more than when I went 12 years ago. I thought people were broke. I ain't even playing. I thought people were broke. It seems to be that half the population is broke and half the population's got money to burn.
Also, traveling has gotten much cheaper as well, and people are seeing on Instagram, they're seeing these trips, so it's becoming more of a priority for them. Even when Americans maybe even had more economic power abroad, it just didn't occur to them to travel. They'd be like, I'd rather go to the Grand Canyon. That's what I see on TV. But yeah, now people scroll Instagram like, I have to see Prague before I die.
Yeah, and in some of these European countries, I think Spain being the biggest example, they're having protests against the tourists. There's too much tourism. They don't like it.
Yeah, people whose entire town is dependent on tourism, when they see tourists, I hate these tourists. But it's like their city would just collapse if tourism.
Yeah, that's the sad thing. I mean, having your city, your country turn into kind of like Disneyland basically is bad, but
yeah, you need a little bit
if your economy is dependent on it, then you gotta.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? Like Hawaiians complain about this all day. I'm like, bro, what
I
do you think you're here for?
I imagine that if there wasn't so much immigration in places across Europe, they would be less averse to tourism.
Oh yeah, could you imagine the tourism to Paris if it was French? It would be it'd be unreal.
It's not very French anymore.
All right. D.H. Shannon says, my gorgeous wife is delivering our daughter, Charlotte.
Hey.
Chose the name months ago before the violence. Now it will remind me to be a husband and father like Charlie. There is light in the world.
Let's go.
All right. Congratulations.
Congrats.
All right. Patriot Paladin says, the assassination of Charlie, Kimmel's lies and cancellation, and now ABC, gradually and then all at once. Yeah, when I was talking to Eric Prince, I asked him... with all the countries that he's been to, with everything his men and partners have seen, is there, is this happening in the United States? And what he said was, the one thing that's true in every location is that it happens overnight. One day, yes, there's political turmoil, and you go to bed, but when you wake up, the electricity won't turn on and there's no internet. That's what happens. And so we won't know until it happens. And there's, for obvious reasons, the power goes out first, the internet goes out first, because you cut communications first thing when a conflict starts. So I suppose we'll just see. And the reality is, by the time you actually know, it will be too late. So what I can say is, the worst thing in the world for us would be if we lived in a city. Imagine doing this show from a major urban metro.
I guess you just couldn't do it. Maybe in some cities...
I'd have to have 15 guys with rifles surrounding the building. I mean, they're shooting up an ABC building in Sacramento. We don't know why yet, but so we're in the middle of nowhere. We still have threats and risks, but it's much more defensible and much harder to get to. And that's why I was like, we need to get away from these cities because of the degree of violence that's been erupting. It's a scary thought. It's getting crazy out there. All right. Yaki India says, do you think Trump would be able to use the National Guard to secure Charlie's funeral on Sunday? Aren't they?
I don't know. I heard that they were talking about the dress code as being red, white, and blue.
Indeed, that is correct.
Yeah, and there's going to be a lot of people.
So if you are a conservative and you are in Phoenix and you are going and you are wearing specifically red, white, and blue, everyone will know where you're going and your political leanings. All right. Quantum Strange Quark says, breaking, all pride flags have been lowered in honor of Jimmy Kimmel.
Nice.
John Christian says, amazing culture war today. We need one with Chad Jackson and Teach 'em Chuck on MLK along with the one on Raymond Ibrahim on history of Islam. Yeah, we talked about exorcisms and possession. And my favorite part was actually talking about DMT. When people do DMT and then meet entities, it's like, could they just be, these are demons?
Well, I just think it's the DMT, but I'm not particularly sure.
Yeah, but there are stories of people who they put in 2 different rooms next to each other, give them DMT, and they both go to the same place and learn the same information. That's why, when Joe Rogan was doing all these shows about DMT, everyone was so interested because they're like, how did 2 people who did not communicate come back from a trip but have the same information? How was that information translated to them? And there's still theories as to how. There's what is this? What is that movie with it's a really awful movie, but it's got Robert De Niro in it, and he's a magician, and the guy's trying to like figure out how he does it. There's some movie. Robert De Niro is a magician, and he claims to have actual psychic powers, and they can't figure out how he does it. And he and an assistant go into isolated booths, and he's supposed to know psychically what the other guy, what number he's chosen. And sure enough, when the guy chooses a number, Robert De Niro gets it right every time. And they're like, there's no transmission between them. We don't know how they would communicate any information. Therefore, this is supernatural. It turns out they had synchronized watches. And every time Robert De Niro would get a signal he would get signaled it was his turn to respond, he would look to where the second hand on his watch was, and that was the number to pick. So they were still able to convey information.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was a.
You said it's not
movie.
a good movie, though. It sounds interesting, but you said it wasn't that great. So I
yeah,
should
no,
watch
it's
okay.
not. They tried to. They tried to. I'm gonna spoil the movie. I forgot what it's called, but Cillian Murphy is in it, I think, and he works with Sigourney Weaver, and they're like trying to debunk the supernatural.
Okay.
And they do, and a guy goes to prison because he's defrauding people or something. And then at the end, the twist is that Cillian Murphy had psychic powers the whole time, and you're like, okay.
It seems like kind of a cop-out from a writing perspective. Yeah.
They didn't do it very well. They were trying to have it be like The Prestige or whatever, where it's like...
Actually a good movie, yeah.
Yeah, where it like flashes back, and you're like, oh, now it makes sense. Yeah, it's like... Instead, you're just like, oh, well, that was dumb. Well, it was okay, I guess. I shouldn't be so mean. Whatever. All right, we'll grab some more. Gravity Walker says, besides the fee for the H1B, we need to tax salaries paid to foreign workers at 100% or more. Offshoring our labor is a killer. Indeed, I mean, we're basically just saying no more H1Bs. You know what I mean? The Skull Kid says, Ilhan Omar literally does this on behalf of Somalia every day. I think referring to the campaigning and lobbying for a foreign country.
Yeah, I mean... If your interests are not America first, you shouldn't be in Congress. Your interest should be your constituents as a congressperson, but your constituents are in America. They are not in some foreign country overseas. Mm-hmm. And if your interests are not your constituents, you shouldn't be serving in Congress.
Could you imagine explaining this conundrum to like an American 50 years ago? You're like, yeah, there's just a Somali enclave in Minnesota, and they keep electing.
It would have been unthinkable.
Islamists. Yeah. They'd be like, what are you talking about?
I mean, no, I imagine they'd understand it because there was a time when Italians came in and they were living in Little Italy.
But they could wrap their head around Italians, but they'd be like, where's Somalia again?
But the thing is, like, whether it be Irish or Italians, they were looked at as others in a way.
But they were like closer. They were like, okay, they're Catholic, which was radical.
It is true they were Europeans and stuff. But when they were beating the crap out of each other in the streets, they didn't feel like they were as close as we feel like they are.
And that was Italians and Irish. So now Somali, it's like that's a huge gap.
Yeah,
it's gonna take a while.
Gravity Walker says El Salvador is proof that law and order results in prosperity. We must have the same here.
Absolutely. Sean Fitzgerald makes this, I think Sean Fitzgerald, right? Actual Justice Warrior.
Yeah.
He makes this point all the time. Crime drives poverty, but poverty does not drive crime. People make the argument, oh, well, it's poor and it's a poor area and that's why there's crime. No, that's not true at all.
Culture drives crime.
The crime happens and then there's no investment in the area. Mm-hmm. Businesses leave. Police don't actually prevent crime, so nobody wants to have businesses, nobody wants to put any of their money in there, and so that makes more crime. It's not that poverty drives crime, it's crime drives poverty. So.
Interesting. Man, it's getting crazy. That's all I can say is it's getting crazy. Hank Trey says, can we talk about the tray flip down El Toro? Yeah, when they released the footage. Did they release the footage? No? Tray flip Donald Toro. Oh, come on, bro. You got to get cultured. Chris Joslin. Come on. Don't you guys know anything? Yeah, reportedly he did it. There's a photo on the cover. I think it's Thrasher, right? And there's a photo of him going, rah! But the video is yet to be seen. I don't know what they're waiting for.
I think he already did it.
Yeah, I know. I think
the first
so.
one already counted, but everyone,
right.
everyone disputes that.
Yeah, his first tray
truck
flip,
broke,
his
so-
truck broke.
Yeah.
And then he rode away for like 5 feet and then spun out because his. So for those now,
He landed it and rode for 5 feet, and they're saying it doesn't count?
so that was a long time ago.
Okay.
So for those that are not familiar, El Toro, the bull, is a large set of stairs thought to be close to the limit of human physical capability to jump down. And back in the day, I'll avoid the overt jargon from skateboarding, but it was jumped down, and people are like, whoa, that's crazy. And then it was spun, meaning someone jumped and rotated. And then Dave Pajinski kickflipped it, meaning he not only jumped it, but the board flipped under his feet, and a lot of people thought it wasn't possible. And then he did, and people's minds were blown. Chris Joslin did what's called a 360 flip, where the board spins 360 degrees while flipping one time. But when he landed, the impact was so tremendous, the truck of the skateboard broke. And so as he rode forward, it lost control and he spun out. But he stuck it, landed, rode a little bit. And as much as everyone said that counted, everybody in the back of their mind knew it doesn't. It's not his fault that the truck broke, but he didn't ride it out. And so everyone was like, he did it at a human level, but we want more. And so reportedly he did it again, and it would be, for those that don't know, one of the greatest feats in the history of skateboarding. And so we think that he did it. So anyway, my friends, smash the like button, share the show with everyone you know. It's a great Friday. Had a lot of fun today. So make sure you join us on our Discord server at timcast.com. Click join us, get in. They're having a party. Why aren't you there? Patrick, do you want to shout anything out?
Yeah, if people enjoyed my commentary, they can go to @RestoreOrderUSA on Twitter, and they can go to patrickcasey.com to find my podcast and some of my writing.
You can find me on X and Instagram at RealTateBrown. Just come hang out there.
I am Phil That Remains on Twix. The band is All That Remains. You can follow All That Remains on Apple Music, Amazon Music, Pandora, Spotify, and Deezer, and YouTube. Oh, don't forget The Left Lane is for Crime.
We will be back. We have clips throughout the weekend, and then we'll see y'all on Monday. Thanks for hanging out.